Hello and welcome to another live edition. Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable. Sorry. Welcome to another live edition where I waffle on about aliens and... Sorry, still trying to get comfortable. Just nabbing another pillow. You can never have too many pillows. Yes, you bloody well can. If you know what women are like, they love their pillows, and pillows come before man. Pillows get put on the floor when the man tries to go to the bed, and the woman puts the pillows back on the bed, and the poor man has to sleep on the floor. Anyway, that's my experience of pillows. So, welcome to another live. Now, I've changed the title in the background. I know it should have been capitals, and I expect someone to pull me up on that, which is a good way of people talking. So, I've just finished my latest video on the Mexican mummies that actually are not mummies. If you watch my documentary on the mummies, the documentary is on my Patreon page. Hi Kerry, how are you? Thank you very much for the heart. I saw your name pop up there a second ago. Thank you very much for that. You find out that the Institute for Mummies are one of the people that debunked the Mexican mummies. However, they are not mummies. To be actually classified as a mummy, you need to purposely mummify it. And the people that found these aliens have said they weren't mummified by the process of being deliberately mummified. So you've got an institution, and I looked into who the institution was funded by, and you'll probably get the idea that the word Rockefeller pops up. So you've got an institution that sticks its nose in and says that the Mexican aliens are fake, when they have nothing to do with it whatsoever. They deal with mummies, and the true word of the mummy is when it's specifically done as a reason to preserve something. But of course, then you've also got the more modern, recent developments with the Mexican alien, the fact that it's now been scanned under a CT scanner with the media there, which now makes that institution funded by Rockefellers look stupid. And so does what's his name, a guy called Ryan something, I can't remember his surname. Believe it or not, I've just been sitting editing the bloody video today, but I can't remember his surname. He was one of the whistleblowers, supposed whistleblowers, that works for the Air Force, who testified with his UAP stories. Now, what's interesting with that is he came out and said that by the people bringing out these, what he would obviously call fake aliens, mummies, he said that it's made a step backwards in terms of the progression of moving forwards for disclosure. In other words, they're crap fakes, and you've upset everyone. That's what he's basically saying. Of course, now that it turns out that the actual mummies are genuine, he now looks like a liar. So this is interesting. This is why my documentary on the Mexican aliens is very interesting. I don't go in too much into the nuts and bolts of the skeleton itself, because obviously I'm not an expert. But I do go into the people that debunk it, and it is phenomenally interesting to see who and why people debunk it. That's what I've mainly gone into on the second half of that very long documentary. Anyway, so people have just joined. I'm just going to have a read now and see what people are saying. Kerry's wrote, hello, I'm good. How are you? Taking guests today. I guess, yeah. I wasn't. Didn't even think. I just knew that I had to come on. So yeah, if you want to come on, Kerry, feel free. Birdman Crowers wrote, they are completely fake. You can see some bones are completely reversed and bones cut. So hopefully Birdman's still listening to this. So Birdman, what I done on my documentary is I did look at the process of that. And where you say you can see some bones are completely reversed, this is what I do, Birdman. This is why people watch me. This is why people follow. This is why I even have Patreon followers. It's because I am not stupid. And the reason why I say that is because you clearly know what aliens look like. You must know what they look like to know that they don't have bones reversed. They have exactly the same bones as us, but in reverse. That's what you're saying. So you must have examined a few aliens yourself to know that their bones are normal and not reversed, and therefore the ones that we're looking at are therefore fake. So tell me, Birdman, how many aliens have you actually studied? Okay, so you haven't studied any. So what I've done in my video, my documentary, is I start from the position of, unless someone has a live alien walking around, you have no idea what their bone structure is like. None whatsoever. You don't even know if those are clones. And if they're clones and they're young, as some people suggest that they're babies, in fact. Hi, sir. Thank you. Just gave me a rose. If they're young, teenagers or whatever, why did they all, 20 of them, all die young? So you've got to ask yourself, is there an inherent problem with them, e.g. deformed? Are they clones? Did they have medical surgery done on them? Or just the one that was scanned? So what I'm saying, Birdman, is do not perceive to know everything, because people like me will just prove you don't know everything. I don't know everything. But you have to start from a position of not knowing everything to work out whether or not you know what you know. And you've fell for the trap that you assume you know what their bone structure is like. You don't even know if they're carbon or silicon based. If they're silicon based, as some whistleblowers say, their bones actually will be soft and move, apparently, according to whistleblowers. So they walk like an octopus would walk if it had bendy bones. So you fell for that trap when you said that they are completely fake. You have no idea. Thank you, here, sir. You have no idea whatsoever whether they're fake. So I'd like you to just sort of say, fair point, Outer History. You're pretty good. You critical thinker, and yeah, I fell for it. I won't do it again. No worries, Birdman. No worries. June X, thank you, Kerry. June X has wrote, have you seen the new movie in Hula called No One Will Save You? Looked like some kind of grey alien. I was possibly going to watch it tonight if I wasn't doing a live chat, so I haven't seen it yet. I was aware of it. I found the trailer interesting. I stopped the trailer before it got to the good bits, because I hate trailers nowadays. They literally show you everything, and because of the way I am, I will try and work out the ending, and I don't like that, so I stopped the trailer. But yeah, it does look interesting. It's got good reviews from what I can see on IMDb. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Genex has wrote, but not telepathic. Some scenes look like some type of mantis, but was very aggressive and not kind. Okay, now you just spoiled it for me, because I was trying to avoid what type of aliens it was. Okay, so yeah, now I'm gonna when I watch it, I'll be like, damn, I know. Thanks for that, Genex. No worries. Jayas wrote, what in the title? So I've proved God was an alien race just to obviously stir up some interest, because I have actually proved that God was an alien race. Still, to this day, not one person has said I'm wrong. So if you're interested in finding out more about that with the evidence, you can go to my website, which is altruhistory.co.uk. Scroll down to the video that says, here is the evidence that proves that God was an alien, or the Bible was talking about the Anunnaki. Red Quacky Man, silly name. I say silly name because the person's wrote, who really cares? Go away, because I won't go on someone else's channel if I'm not interested in what they're talking about on their live and go, no one really cares. I wouldn't do that, because that's childish. So I'll tell you what, I'm just going to block you for being a numpty, because it is numpty. It's like going on. It's like me going on to someone talking about football and saying no one really cares. They'd block me because that would be me being stupid. Okay, moving on. Got stupid people. Gary S. wrote, thanks for getting the facts. No worries. Yeah, I mean, I can't obviously tell you what the bones are made of if you're referring to the Mexican alien, but I can show you in those videos that I think you might have already watched it, I'm not sure, I think you might be a Patreon user, but I do show you how blatant the mainstream are in terms of the way that they manipulate the media to prove that things are debunked when they're not debunked. Literally, they're not debunked. I proved it by going on that video showing where they get their links from, and they don't even talk about it. They put a link to somewhere else, and that somewhere else doesn't actually have any evidence whatsoever in it, and yet the first newspaper says it's been debunked. It's crazy. Andy has wrote, it's like matrix options are our biggest burden. Live, die in between has no significance. It does to the person, because I would say because you feel, happy, sad, anger, hurt, pain. It has some significance. It may not be significant to whoever's controlling us, but certainly significance to me. If I, hurt myself and I'm in pain, it means a lot to me. Lovers of all things wrote, there are different types of species in the universe. For you to say this is small-minded. Which part are you saying that I'm saying is small-minded? Is it the Mexican aliens, or is it the proof that God was an alien race? Because I agree, there's many types of races out there, species in the universe. However, only one of them's actually wrote about that they actually genetically modified humans, or made us Homo sapiens. So that's why we've got the proof. Ian, or Enin, has wrote, yes, it's like everyone is an expert in aliens now, just because they don't want to believe. It's dividing people, those Mexican ones, isn't it? It's funny how, again, on my documentary, I showed someone that was showing the bones, and they said, oh, it's like an alpaca's head. If you break off the bit of the bone off the alpaca's skull, turn the skull around, then it looks like, or fits as the head of this alien. But you could actually do that with different things. You can even do it with a horse. And there's certain types of animals, giraffe, horse, etc., that all have the same elongated head as an alpaca. So I show that on my documentary video, which is on my Patreon page, that you can't believe those people. And of course, now that the scan has been done, it shows that those people were wrong anyway. So they come out with all this fancy graphics to try and prove, and unfortunately that Birdman fell for that. Fancy graphics and everything, but they have no knowledge of anything whatsoever other than what this person done on his video. But again, you have no knowledge of why everything's like that. It's the same as that video that's been doing the rounds with this young girl of colour. Apparently didn't get a medal. As this woman was going around passing out medals, this girl didn't. And I was just reading all the comments on it, and everyone's going, racist, 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 racist. And I thought, hang on a minute. How do we not know whether or not that young girl had already received her medal? She may have done a different event prior and got the medal there. You know what I mean? It's so easy for people to judge things without actually using their brain for 2 seconds and say, hang on a minute, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to shout racist until I know the facts. But unfortunately, people just go with the flow. And it's a bit silly nowadays. Erin's wrote, I believe the Nazca ones are real. So you're referring to... Oh, someone's done the homework. Well done. So you're referring to the 2015 one, I'm guessing, as opposed to the... Because there was a 2015 one, but you put plural, so I'm guessing you're referring to the Peru ones, which are the Mexican ones that we the modern ones, whereas there was one called the Nazca mummy back in 2015, which was debunked, but no, it wasn't. If you watch my video, you realise it was never debunked. Never debunked. They actually said it was this one where it's sort of sitting in a almost like a fetal position, sitting upright, with a slightly elongated head and 3 fingers and three toes. They said was this was the debunking part of it. Wait for it. This is amazing. They said was a young human boy. However, the head alone is bigger than the researcher standing next to it. So, yeah, I mean, if it's going to be a young boy, a human, then it would have had to have not only had a deformity of the head, it would have had to have deformity of his hands, both of them, and deformity of the feet to give 3 fingers and 3 toes. So, whoever come up with that, and there's no evidence of it. I've looked and looked and looked to try and find evidence that it's actually genetically a human boy. There's no evidence. It's just people saying it's a human boy. That's all you'll ever find. Oh, crazy world we live in. Fuel Jet, sorry, wrote the Aztec were the one witnesses the event. The Aztec were the one witnessing the event. I'm guessing you're on about the Anunnaki creating humans. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Sorry, I'm not sure which event you're referring to. Lovers of all things wrote, yes, aliens real, but there are many, many, many we don't know about. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Andy's wrote, we are alien, part alien. I'd definitely say. Shaman Storm has wrote, so which ones cloned us then? Technically, it wasn't a cloning process. It was a race called God. We know them as gods. We also know them as their team name, which was given to them when they came to Earth, as Anunnaki. It's just like we're humans. That was their race name, God. And in fact, the Bible ended up using that as Elohim in the Hebrew language, which is plural for gods. So that's the ones that done the deed. And we've got the actual evidence of that. We've got evidence of us having fused chromosomes. We've got evidence of them writing about exactly what they've done. Not every single step, but the things that I have wrote about is exactly as would be done in terms of creating a new species. And we've even got the reason, they told us the reason why they done it. So we've got everything we need to know. Genetics wrote, sorry for spoiling the movie. No worries, I'll try and forget what you said now. Shaman Storms, right? I know who it was who made us. I'm sure you'll come to the same conclusion because it says it in the text that it was Enki. Louise just wrote behave with laughing faces. Oh, that's probably me being naughty again, sorry. I apologise if I've been bad. L Block has wrote, good morning from California. Enjoy your work. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. Good news, everyone, while you're all listening. If you don't want to go to the Patreon page to watch my videos, you can now watch Series 2. It's literally gone up 2 seconds before I came and done this live. So Series 2 is continuation of the ones from Series 1, which everything's on Patreon, but it's now in 2 halves on TikTok. So you only have to pay the once on TikTok. So if anyone's interested, click on my profile picture, click on Series, and it's a one-off fee. It's only $1.99 or something dollars, and you get 7 hours worth of all sorts of things. Who was Satan? Who was Lucifer? Easter Island video. Again, documentaries that no one else will go do the things that I do when I look into it. Scrolling down, Shaman has wrote, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. See, I wouldn't agree with that, I'm afraid. I would say we're living matter and, we have our own thought processes. In terms of spiritual, I still think that the light energy beings that join with us they're the spirits that we think that is us, but they're not. Because if they was us, then when reincarnation happens, the new baby would now have two souls in it, one of its own and one from a previous life. And then when that baby eventually dies, two souls will then go round and go into someone else, and that'll be three, and so on and so on. And it doesn't work like that. No clairvoyance ever or mediums ever said that. Kerry's right. I'll request to come on in a few, if that's okay. No problem at all. And he's right. I will begin to believe when I see a different intelligence to myself. Yeah, no worries. I can see it's hard if people haven't sort of researched anything. They'll just go by what they actually perceive themselves as opposed to actually doing the research. So yeah, I can understand that. Not everyone has the time to sit and research. Ian Inin has wrote, they were found in Nazca, Peru, but recently shown in Mexico. Yes, right. Yeah, because the other one was called the 2015 one was called Nazca, or Paracas. No, it was Paracas, wasn't it? Which one's Paracas? I think sorry, my bad. I think the 2015 one was a Paracas skeleton. My bad. Not skeleton, mummy. My bad. Sorry. You can imagine sitting doing that all day long. I do get mixed up with some things occasionally. Louise has wrote prob hybrid. If you're referring to us as a species, then yes, we are a hybrid. Christians wrote, you have no evidence for your claim, tell me, bro. I do love it when they use the word bro. It means that they know that they're worried that the answer is going to be in front of them. And the person's called Christian, as in religious Christian. So, Christian, are you still here? Are you still here? Because what you've done is you've made a claim without actually checking out my claim. So one of us is going to look stupid, Christian, and trust me, it ain't going to be me. So, Christian, if you're still here, which you're probably now going to run because you realised, oh God, he's going to come. Oh God, that's me, by the way. He's going to come out with some evidence. So, Christian, if you're still here, you can go away. I'll still be on the live chat by the time you come back. Go to my website. You won't bother. Trust me, you won't bother. No one does. On the home page, so it's, you ready? OurTrueHistory.co.uk. Our True History. I'm making it very simple for you to do this, but you won't bother. OurTrueHistory.co.uk. Go there, scroll down to where it says click here for the evidence to prove that the Bible's talking about Anunnaki or aliens. Watch 34 minutes. I've got hours worth on my Patreon page or my TikTok series. Hours worth of evidence. But trust me, 34 minutes, you'll be like, oh dear, this guy's good. Then come back and apologise because you actually made a statement there that says you have no evidence. When you see the evidence, you can either do one of two things. Apologise and change your name from Christian to I'm a Our True History follower. Or give me evidence where I'm wrong. Don't just say I'm wrong. Give me evidence where I'm wrong. Show me the evidence where I'm wrong, which you won't do. So basically, all in all, you're just not going to bother. You're just going to go away and carry on believing in an almighty being. But maybe next time, don't say stupid things like you have no evidence when you haven't even checked. Wayne has wrote, do you think the men in black could be shapeshifters? So from my research, there's two types of men in black. You've got the alien men in black, and then you've got the military men in black. The alien men in black have no eyebrows, speak in a monotone voice, sometimes don't have any hair, and if they do have hair, it looks like a wig. And they walk. If there's two of them, they look identical. In other words, a clone or a mask of some description. So I certainly think they're aliens. Whether or not they're shapeshifters, I don't think so. I have a feeling they were probably made up to look like, because the chances of a species, a bipedal species, because as good as an octopus, as good as a chameleon is, it doesn't change its shape. So so whatever alien has to be, really, let's be honest, kind of has to be a bipedal species, unless it can literally, remove a leg or something. So for them to then be able to shapeshift into us, and with vocal cords, etc., etc., I struggle with that. I have a feeling they're probably greys with masks on, something like that. As not small greys, tall whites. Because not only would they have to shapeshift, they'd also have to shapeshift into about a 5 to 6 foot size as well. It's too much shapeshifting going on. Change their fingers, a hell of a lot of things to try and do to get to look like a human from whatever species they are. So I have a feeling they're probably made up in some fashion. Here, Sir has wrote, hey, to the Christian person, have you watched any of his videos or even visited the British Museum? I have a feeling Hey Sir is Winnie by any chance. Yes, it is Winnie. I thought so. Only Winnie would say that. He's not, obviously, Winnie. Hi, Winnie. June X has wrote, Carlson Tucker said he was planning to interview Putin, told no one, and the government contacted him. Interesting. I wasn't aware of that. Interesting. This is live, by the way, everybody. If you because I'm reading out every question. Shamans wrote they Bible. I'm guessing the Bible stole the story of creation and left out what they didn't want us to know. Spot on, absolutely spot on. You've obviously done your homework. Genexus wrote and asked if he was planning to do and interview the NSA. Admitted they were monitoring his phone. Literally everyone's being monitored nowadays by everyone. Even Mr. Schwab's had said, imagine if we get a cyber attack. Who owns the company that owns most of the technology that's out there? In terms of computers, Mr. Gates. Who is Schwab's friend? Mr. Gates. What do they want to do? Depopulate. They're literally telling us what their next steps are, and we don't even grasp it. Alfredo wrote, hello, sir, hello, class. Sorry I'm late. I was doing some light reading of the Codex Gigas. That's a name I haven't heard for a while. I'm wondering whether other people will actually understand what that means. But it's if Alfredo can read that, then we should all be watching Alfredo doing these live chats. Louise has wrote, what if they wrote to promote untruth? Just a thought. You mean the Sumerian tablets, the Sumerian tablets in the first ever language? The problem I have with that, and I understand where you're coming from, is this is a first ever language, and they literally read out a story that crosses over 3,000 years of texts. So even if the first person thought, I'm going to knock up a story about two princes and a king that suddenly appeared. No one had any, debates beforehand or voting or anything. They just suddenly appeared. So the author would have done that, and then up and down the whole of the Middle East, and in fact, not just the Middle East, but Egypt and Rome and Greece also took the same stories. So it's just too much to say that one person managed to write for 3,000 years or get loads of people to continue a story for 3,000 years over different cultures and even countries. So I don't think they would have done that as a fake thing. Plus, also a lot of the evidence that they talk about in those tablets, we can actually see. You know, we can see temples, we can see cylinder seals, carvings, statues, and so on, and the monuments and buildings that we can't even recreate today. Cyrus has wrote, "Where's the evidence?" Brilliant. I'm glad you asked. You won't bother going to look, but if you do, it'll be amazing. So feel free to go to ourtruehistory.co.uk. It's on TikTok as well, but you now have to scroll back a bit. Ourtruehistory.co.uk. It's on YouTube, but I'm showing you where nice easy way to find it. Ourtruehistory.co.uk. Scroll down the front page where it says click here to see the evidence, and there's 34 minutes there. There's hours more if you want to watch hours more, but 34 minutes. Not one person out of tens of thousands that's now watched that on TikTok has even remotely said I'm wrong. Not one person has even said I'm wrong. I was expecting people to say you're wrong, but without evidence. But they've not even said you're wrong, let alone try and tell me. Yeah, so there it is. So enjoy. And if you're interested in more, it tells you where you can watch the hours version of that longer version. Moon Pies wrote, in China Lake naval weapon, there is a underground facility. Aliens are there. My husband knew. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Aliens are certainly underground. I mean, if you believe in Phil Schneider, when he was talking about the Dulce base in New Mexico and he had to go down under the ground, that's just one of many people that have said that there's alien bases underground, which makes sense, I guess. You know, if you're doing stuff here on Earth, you kind of don't really want to be disturbed. And if you have the technology to go deep underground, it makes sense to do that, because you wouldn't, you know, where else could you go? As us pesky humans are pretty much all over the place. So yeah, it makes sense that they are underground if they're doing whatever it is that they're doing here on Earth. And sometimes they are working with the government as well, depending on which alien race it is. So that would make sense. Andy's wrote, I'm enjoying your content, but no one can prove what's going on. In terms of when you say what's going on, that kind of makes it sound like an all-encompassing thing. But I mean, we can kind of prove that the Anunnaki alien race suddenly appeared here, taught us the first ever language that suddenly appeared, created humans because we've got missing link, we've got fused chromosomes, created buildings that we can't even recreate today. So, you know, how much more proof do you want? Even if I just said one of those bits of proof, in a court of law, that would probably stand up. But yet we've got so much more. So I think from a court of law point of view, absolutely, we've got plenty of evidence for the Anunnaki side. But if it's all encompassing, you know, what's going on in the world, you're right. I don't know anyone that probably does know everything. Sharman's wrote, you do understand about the Merkaba and the chakra system? I know the chakra system. I've not heard the word Merkaba, or if I have, I've not remembered it. Sorry, someone's wanted to join the live. It's Kerry. Okay, gonna accept. Kerry. Oh,
Sorry, we're
hello.
in the middle of spa day, but
Oh, Blair. Oh,
this is Scrappy. He just wanted to say hi. How are you today?
fine, thank you. Yeah, yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I just came up with a few more questions if you got a minute.
Work. Yeah.
Um, okay. So there are cultures worldwide that have origin stories that don't seem to be of the Anunnaki. Um, why do you think that is, and what do you think that means?
Excellent question. Number one in the class for that.
Hi,
Um,
Alfredo.
Damn, what I started. Um, no, I mean it's a really good question because there is. I mean, you've got different, as you say, different cultures around the world. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I think that is. For example, you've got the Chinese whispers scenario where a story gets passed down, passed down, and you end up with a floating turtle in space as one of the creation stories. So I think that's one problem we've got, and the second problem is, so for example, if Ningazida took some humans over to Mesoamerica, for example, and didn't tell them how the universe got started. Obviously, over in Samaria, they had the Enuma Elish, and they probably knew stories, and they probably spoke about stories. But over in Mesoamerica, if they were just taken over to procreate and wasn't aware of the backstory of the Anunnaki, then they may have made up their own story based on what they could perceive from where they were, if that makes sense. So I don't, and obviously the time frames down the line, could be, thousands of years different from what the Sumerians say to what another culture says that they then made up themselves. So, I mean, it's like the Dogons. They talk about the Dogon tribe talking about basic aliens, mermaids coming from the Sirius star system. But when you actually look properly at the information on that, they don't actually say the Sirius star system. It was the researchers that said, where did these mer people come from? And they pointed up in the sky. And of course, 10,000 years ago, the sky may have been a different position, or a planet may have been coming, in that direction, e.g. Nibiru. So I think sometimes we also interpret their stories differently just by our, like I say, the Dogon tribe. We've interpreted it that it comes from Sirius, which I don't think I don't think they were talking about that at all.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I've kind of wondered since, when they said, we came from the stars and they pointed, and, maybe the researchers that were talking to them either guided them towards, Orion or Pleiades or wherever, or if they just, assumed that's where it was, or just wanted it to be there, or whatever. So that really does make sense.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I don't, and of course the time frame. If you roll back the clock, that star system that they're probably pointing up to might not have even been there at that point. So, at the time that they first knew about, the gods or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. Um, what do you think about us? Because I know that they say that binary systems in the solar system are pretty much the norm. What do you think the chances are that we are actually a binary system and have, a whole other, God, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody help me. Anyway, like a binary sun and another solar system that's attached to us. I kind of got off track and my brain kind of froze up, but I think you get where I'm going.
So, in who's read many tablets has said basically that the first in our solar system we had the sun and Mercury, and then eventually there was a formation of dual planets, Jupiter, Mars, and so on and so on. But what he didn't say was that there was a second sun, which is interesting. But was there a second sun way before that, but burned out and died? And so the story goes from Sitchin stroke the Enuma Elish. So Sitchin's got other bits of information that I was just listening to him the other day, actually. So it's not in the Enuma Elish, but what he's talking about. But he did talk about other tablets that he's read, which I guess probably ain't been translated by other people. And what he says was when the planet Nibiru comes into our solar system and hits into Tiamat, it had life on it already, and that was Nibiru had life on it already, and that's why they're more advanced than us now, because their life started before Earth's life started. But again, nothing there talks about a second sun except some ancient stories that I'd heard from like tribes, Native American tribes, where they said that a dwarf, well, they didn't say a dwarf star, but there was something circling in which the people that told the story assumed was a dead sun that went round and round with it. Now, really, because Nibiru smashed into Tiamat, Nibiru will have debris around it, in my opinion, like meteorites and comets and whatever that's circling around its planet. So I have a feeling that they may have seen we've got a second moon here on Earth, but it's small, but we have got a second moon. So did they think that there was a second sun, dead sun, because of a massive moon that's now orbiting Nibiru when it comes around? Because apparently you will be able to see Nibiru because of the size it is compared to Earth, at least 4 to 10 times the size of Earth. So I don't know. I still struggle with the binary. It makes sense, but if it was real, it died out way before the Anunnaki could even talk about it.
Okay. Question about reincarnation. Can we be, I don't know if I want to use the word reincarnation, but I know that, our light energy being, when we pass on, it eventually, gets to decide if they want to cross over or if they want to go back and learn again. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, can that actually happen on, like, can our light energy being go to another planet or another solar system as opposed to coming to Earth?
Yeah, from what I've heard, yes. The general consensus from the whole of what I've learned is that Earth is a good training ground for them. So because of our frequencies are very low, it's hard for them to learn. So therefore, it's good for them to learn here. And then when they move on to another species that, for example, can read minds, it's a lot easier for them. So it's sort of ours is. Some people used to say it's a nursery. Some people say it's a prison planet. But I think it is just a harder learn for because they have to think like we have to. Get you. I'm looking at your face now, and I'm having to work out what your. No, I don't mean it like that. We're perceiving your emotions just based on your face, whereas another species may just have that telepathic thought, in which case it's easier for the entity to learn what other people are thinking, whereas now it has to join with us to learn what other people are thinking. If that makes sense.
Okay. Do you think that might explain why there are people here that claim to be from an alien race?
Yeah, I've yet to come across one that I believe is from an alien race.
Well, let's say if it was believable, do you think that could explain why?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of out body experiences or near death experiences where people have said, and even hypnotism, where they said that in a previous life they was with an alien, or was an alien. So it's possible because you've got to remember, technically, if none of the species before humans here on Earth had the ability to have a orb join with them or an entity join with them, e.g., no pineal gland, then really the light energy beings have only been able to join with us for 300,000 years. Prior to that, if they're eternal, as the Book of Enki, Lost Book, the Emerald Tablet, sorry, says that they formed when they first came, when the universe first came, then they probably would have went with aliens before coming even to us. So yes, it's possible that they would have joined with aliens.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm getting paid back for last week because now Alfredo is just slamming me in the comments, but it's okay. Love you, Alfredo. I have been reading this quite a bit, as you can see. I have
Wow.
all kinds of stuff,
Wow.
marked and highlighted. I've only gotten through the first four tablets, so but it's a good read, everybody. It really is.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's good.
And then I got to do another plug for you here. Um,
Oh, hang on. I wish I could zoom in. I can't. You have to send me that when it's done. Oh, it's
it's
looking good.
done.
That looks like a history coloring book that Alfredo's also got. He's,
Alfredo hasn't shown results yet, so I figured that, I'd be first to show
oh,
results.
that's brilliant. Yeah, do a screenshot or something when you're finished, and so I can see it clearly. That's great.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you. Yeah, because I know you want to see it.
Love
I don't think it's as good as yours, but it's all right. And mine's not with the ink pens. Mine's actually with just watercolor pencils and stuff. So yeah, there's that. If you guys get a chance to purchase this, you should. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Alfredo, shh, stop. Oh my gosh. All right, well, that's all I have for today, so I'm gonna get off here. Alfredo, you need to come on now and you need to show us your artwork. So,
Brilliant.
all right, well, have a good day and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Brilliant questions. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye. Bye. Unfortunately, I didn't see what Alfredo was writing, but I'm sure I'll catch up with it and understand what was going on. Uh, Shaman Stormers wrote, we actually have 114, not 7. I'm not sure what I was talking about there. I don't know what I was talking about there. Straight Up has wrote, what boring nonsense crap. Really, what Straight Up's saying is, wow, this guy's good. Let's be honest, that's what he's saying. This guy's good. How do I knock him down? So, no worries. That's good. You basically validated me there. That's fantastic. Gary's wrote, what's your thoughts on the film E.T.? So, if you read, good question actually, go number 2 in the class for that, Gary. That's a good question. The reason why is because if you watched I don't know, I think you might be a Patreon user. If you watched the first part of the Mexican Alien documentary, I read out the description of the Eben Type 2, which was from the SOM 101, which was a Special Operations Manual. And that describes, this is from the 50s, that describes basically ET uh, with the long index finger and so on and so on, and the big eyes touching the side and the elongated head. So when you've got, oh sorry, someone's wanting to come on. Give me 2 seconds, Alan, if you wouldn't mind. So yeah, the E.T. Spielberg, who also worked with Jacques Vallée, who clearly knew about aliens, would have gave him help on the description of it. So either Spielberg witnessed one of these aliens and created ET, or was told about the description of them by, for example, Jacques Vallée, and then created ET. But either way, that ET, when you actually look at it, it actually looks like the small mummies from obviously Spielberg couldn't do it exactly the same because he had already done Close Encounters of the Third Kind with skinny little aliens with so he would have had to have made ET slightly different and cute, which is understandable for a movie. So yeah, I think ET was certainly done for that reason. Spielberg knew for sure. So there was a person that wants to come in on the live. So as soon as I'm letting people on, I might as well let Alan come on. Hello, Alan.
Oh yeah.
Hello there.
Oh yeah. You okay? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, how can or if you want to say something, feel free.
No, I was just interested in UFOs and what have you, and other life forms and what have you. And it's nice to hear all different stories.
Oh, thank you. Have you been into it long?
Oh yeah, since being a kid, since I was about
Oh,
12 or something like that, I've always been into it. Yeah.
have you seen anything UFO or anything like that?
No, unfortunately, no, I haven't. But it's the paranormal and all that, which I'm interested in. I've had experiences as a kid, years ago, like seeing things as I was growing up, like spirits and what have you. So
So you're 100% believer then, I'm guessing, in spirits.
yeah, yeah. There's more than there is. What we're experiencing now. There is another universe. It's like we're in the Matrix or something. It's pretty weird that sounds.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, yeah, no, I find it fascinating as well. Have you been to any clairvoyance mediums or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, years ago I was working on roofs and all that, and this guy asked me to go up this ladder, really in high winds and all that, and I said, nah, no way. Well, the night before, me and my missus, this was on a Sunday, we went to see a clairvoyant, and she said, oh, I've got a lady here with red hair. That was my mother. She said she's got a big beehive. So she said something about a ladder. Do not go up that and all this business. So the next day when this guy, I said, no, no way. And I said, I don't know. It's just something come to me through that medium. She said, don't go up the ladder. So, it's kind of weird, isn't it? But,
Yeah, well, you're still
yeah,
here, so that's a good thing, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, that's good. Do you,
So,
sorry, go on.
yeah, I just like to watch other people's experiences and all that, and just make a few comments and all that. And yeah, it's very interesting. I don't watch much telly now because I'm on air all the time. Watching all the good stuff. Because you seem to get more information off here than you do mainstream media, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, some of it's fake. Some people enjoy,
Yeah,
creating CGI things or faking things. But, as you say, you've been doing it long enough, you can probably work out the ones that are fake and the ones that are genuine.
yeah, yeah, sure, yeah.
Do you follow
Whereabouts are
me
you
by any?
tonight?
Sorry.
No, whereabouts are you tonight? Are you
Um,
in England?
yeah, sorry, I'm at home in sort of Greater London.
All right, okay, yeah.
You Les baloney and all that rubbish. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think of Sadiq Khan? Or we better not talk about him, had we?
I don't think any politicians looking out for us at all whatsoever.
Yeah. No, I'm saying you've got to be careful what you say on there, haven't you?
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's scary times, isn't it? You've got to be careful.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway, never mind, anyway.
Do you follow me, or is this the first time you sort of come across me?
No, no, I'll follow you. I've just come across you, yeah. And I've
Oh,
seen the
right.
video and all that. And I thought I'd join. I've never joined a live and out like that, you know what I mean? I don't show
Oh,
my real face. It's just, but yeah, I'm into all that, so I'll follow you.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got 1,000 odd videos on TikTok which cover all sorts of paranormal subjects. So that's nice, great.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's brilliant.
So what I'll do, yeah, I'll follow you. I'm just, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get up and do a few things and all that, you know what I mean? But you're a very interesting person of sorts, Sue. I'm very
Oh,
privileged to speak to you.
oh, thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say.
So I'll follow you then, Arcade, yeah?
Yeah, brilliant, lovely. Thank you very much.
All right then. Good evening, mate.
You too. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Oh, what a nice chap. Okay, Shamans wrote, the Jewish knew about it and wrote it down. I'm guessing that's the Anunnaki. Sorry, obviously, because I keep having people come in, it's hard for me to know what that was referring to. Sarah Wright has wrote, we are a spirit. If you decide to reincarnate, it's your own soul moving on, not two souls. The problem with that, though, is if I'm alive now and I've got my own spirit and I decide to reincarnate, that means that new person doesn't have a soul. Do you see what I mean? Now, if that person doesn't have a soul, why do I have a soul? Why wasn't someone else's soul inside me now? Do you see what I mean? So then it's not my own personal soul, it's someone else's from before. So if someone else dies and as I'm being born I get their soul, it's not my soul. And it probably wasn't their soul either. It was probably the person's before. In which case, there's only really a handful of original souls that have now gone on and gone through every single person. So I still would say that it's an entity that joins with us and then leaves us, which again, if you go by the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, that's exactly what it says. A light energy being that joins with us and seeks wisdom. So that's pretty much exactly what it says. History and Coins wants to join in on the live chat, so we'll have a live chat date. Hello, History and Coins.
How you going?
How you
Can you
doing?
hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about the fact I've had 3 near-death experiences, and every one of them was different. Like
Okay.
one of them I was actually had an out-of-body experience where I was looking down on myself and, watching them reviving me, and I don't know how to explain it. It's really weird. You're looking down on yourself and I felt like I was just floating in free air, if you know what I'm saying, like there was no gravity there or anything like that. And I could hear other voices around me, but I couldn't see anything else just other than them trying to revive me underneath. And then obviously they did revive me and I went back to my body. But the other 2, I could see things around me, but I didn't leave my body, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I
Okay.
could see other entities around me, but I did not leave my body.
What
So,
kind of
and
entities were they? Do you remember?
like it was just like light being like little orbs all around me. You know what I'm. So that's what I could see. It was orbs all around me the whole time on the last 2, but the first one I was actually out of my body looking down on myself being revived and seeing everybody, crying and all that because my son was in the room and my ex-husband was in the room at the time and they were trying to revive me. So it's weird. I don't know what to make of it, but it was after that that I started to be able to communicate with the other side, the
Yeah,
spirit.
you're not the first person to say that, so that's good. In a way, I guess means basically to
Mm.
me that it's not your time.
Yeah, it's not my time yet, obviously, but
There's
it
something
was
for you
weird.
to do.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird that they were different. Like 2 of them were the same, but one of them was completely different. The first one was completely different, like where I could see myself. Where the other 2, I didn't leave my body. I could see the orbs all around me. I couldn't see people or anything like that. It was just orbs all around me.
Maybe
So
maybe the entity didn't want to leave, or was in sort of half in and half out, one foot in the grave, shall we say? Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's interesting.
So
But
I heard you speak about it before. So I meant to, say something, but I'd forgotten.
yeah, so you don't recall any of the orbs sort of being family members, sort of saying to
Yeah,
you,
one sounded like my dad,
"Oh
and
wow,
one sounded like my best mate who'd passed away. my dad had passed away in 2005. My mum actually passed away the same night as when I had the first, when I had the out-of-body experience. That at roughly the same time as I actually passed away and was revived.
Oh,
But my
wow.
mother wasn't revived. But my dad died in 2005, and my best mate died a couple of years prior to that when I had the second lot of where the Orbs were there, because they were both on the same night. That was the night after I had the out-of-body experience. It happened 2 nights in a row where I died.
Wow.
So, and one actually happened during the operation, and I'd gone through into recovery, and I passed away in recovery. And my son and that were there because they didn't think I was going to make it out of recovery, so they brought them in to see me, and I passed away in there, and that's when I had the out-of-body experience. And then the other 2, I was back in the room the next night, and that's when I passed away again, twice in the same night, but they weren't there those nights. They were back at home, and that's when I had the Orbs there, and one sounded like my dad and one sounded like my best mate. And Dad was saying, "It's not your time."
Wow.
One of the Orbs was saying to me, "It's not your time." And the other one, which was my best mate, was saying, "You've got too much unfinished business to sort out." Because I had a lot of stuff I was trying to sort out for him at that point. So
I don't actually think it means that from everything that I've ever heard of where people's been sent back saying it's not your time, you've got unfinished business. I don't think it's sort of like paperwork business or anything like that. I think it's something the soul needing to learn something.
I'm starting
teach something.
I'm starting to think I was put back on this earth to learn all about this stuff that's going on now, especially what I'm learning through you and through a lot of other research I've been doing. I came across you while I was researching the sort of stuff that you actually talk about.
Oh, right.
And I think that's that's not a coincidence. Something's happened there where I came across you on TikTok when I was researching the same sort of stuff. So that's not coincidental.
I hate to think that I'm part of a bigger plan as me just sitting
It's the fact that, it was weird that I was researching all the stuff about that I didn't think that, that we were getting told the whole truth about what happened in the past when I'd done a lot of college degrees and stuff like that, and I didn't think all the stuff that I was taught was right. Something inside me kept saying, nagging at me that it's not right, it's not right, it's not right. And that's when I started researching, and then I come across you, and it all started, pinpointing to, what I'd been saying in my head was right. That we weren't taught the right things, and I came across you, which has helped me get more research in it. So, and my big, sorry.
No, go on, sorry.
My big things are the paranormal, Bigfoot, and, things like that, more than the Bible, because I've never been religious in any way, shape or form.
No.
So my big things are the paranormal, the Bigfoot and all the spirit stuff. But I do research everything that you put up, and just to, not to be sound nasty, just to try to see if there is other things out there that I haven't come across. And not to make sure it look like, sort of kind of like debunk you, try to find that one thing that you've missed.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Thank you.
Yet.
Sure you will. Have you looked at Virginia University studies in out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences, which is pretty much what you had? If you haven't,
Not yet, I haven't.
They've got videos and seminars and all sorts of stuff on it. Virginia University into near-death experience, because obviously what you said is a common thing, but there might be things there that might help you understand why you were sent back.
Yeah, well, there you go. I better have to look into that one. I didn't even know it was there, so we'll look into that one. Thank you for that.
That's all right. Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. So they do cover out of body, and they also cover near death experiences and reincarnation. But obviously, I would probably start with the near-death experiences for yourself first.
Yeah, I will. Thank you so much for that. So
That's
I
all right.
really appreciate that, and I'd like to thank you for everything you do, because you put in a lot of hard work and all that for us out there that believe in you and believe in what you're researching. Even the ones that have been researching out there for a few years before they found you, you've helped me find other places that I didn't even know were researchable. So
Oh,
I really appreciate that.
oh, Mr. Kings just gave you a rose.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
nice. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm just, I enjoy doing it really as well. So it's great. It's nice to hear what you just said. Thank you.
Yeah, I love doing the research. I love doing all the video editing stuff and all that sort of stuff. I'll be doing all that, and I draw. And as I said to you on a message one day, I've drawn up a whole heap of pictures ready for you to use. I've got to send through to you yet, and I'm working on a few more in-depth ones, so you can do a harder one for adults and a easier one for kids.
All right.
So
Oh,
that's I
thank
thought
you.
that way you could do two separate different ones if you decided to.
Oh, that's lovely.
So, because it gives me something to do, because as you know, I've got cancer and spend all my time basically at home. So,
Oh,
thank you, Mr. King. I got that one come up on my screen. So, but I really appreciate everything you do. And I'll let someone else come and jump up there. I just wanted to let everybody know, and you know, about my near-death experiences and my
excellent.
out-of-body experience.
I'm so
So,
glad that it's not, it wasn't your time. I'm so glad.
yeah, I'm so glad it wasn't my time too.
Oh,
I mean,
bless
I
you.
don't appreciate the pain I'm going through now, but, you know, I've fought on this far. They told me I'd be dead in 6 months, and it's been 8 years, and I'm still here. So it's
Wow.
obviously not my time yet.
No,
So
someone needs you around for sure. Brilliant.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. All right, mate. Thank you very much for everything, and I'll let someone else come up and take the floor for now.
Oh, thank you. Good
So
luck to
I'll
yourself.
be sitting around in the background for a little while, and then I'll be going off to sleep.
All right. No
All right,
worries. Cheers.
bye.
Bye. Bye. Oh, that's History and Coins. Lovely person. And someone else wants to join in. It's
Gotta close it off.
let
How
me.
do I get out?
Okay, I'll see if I can help. There we are. Sorry, someone else wants to join in. It's Marion Summerby. Funny, I didn't expect people to join in tonight. It's weird, isn't it? When I ask people to come on.
Hello, can you hear me?
If I can, hi there.
Oh, brilliant. I've never done this before, so I haven't got a clue. Somebody give me a bit of a hint how you do this.
Uh,
When I was a child, about 5 year old, I was like a pre child. I was 6 weeks early, and and anyway, when I was about 5 year old, I got something like chicken pox or German measles, but we had to be isolated in the bedroom with our curtains closed. Now, what happened was I was in bed, and all of a sudden I was up on the ceiling and looking down at myself. Now, I don't know, like, was it because I was a weak child or what? But I'm not even sure if I died or not, or was that just an out of body experience? Because I can't remember getting back into the body. It sounds a bit
Interesting.
odd.
Okay, so
I know.
what?
I can't remember getting back in.
Right, what normally happens is when you have an out of body or even a near death experience, when you go back into your body, you snap back in. It's as quick as someone clicking their fingers. So that's probably why you don't remember sort of going back into your body, because it's literally that quick. You just get pulled, literally
Okay.
snap back in. So that would
Yeah.
explain why you don't. It wasn't it's never a slow, process of going towards your body. It's just bang, you're there.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Okay.
but if
So
you,
I still don't know if I died or not or anything.
well,
I
if you
just
had,
remember being up in the ceiling, looking around the room and everything, and seeing me in bed type of thing.
well,
So it's a bit odd.
yeah, I mean, generally people that have out of body experiences are either under medication or meditating or asleep. Now, if you was neither of those, or none of those, should I say,
No, no.
then the chances are and if you did have chicken pox that may have caused you to overheat, for example, and the orb
Might have been, yes.
the orbs
Yeah,
that joins with you has thought that you're about to die, they do leave your body.
yeah.
So sometimes people think they're leaving, the orb leaves the body, and in fact, some other times a different orb joins back with the person when they sort of come back round. So that's why you get
Okay.
different experiences, such as suddenly they can play a
Yeah,
piano, suddenly they can speak a different language when they couldn't before.
yeah.
I guess if you wasn't asleep and you genuinely could see
I did
yourself,
look like I was asleep, mind. When I look back on
right?
myself, I did look like I was asleep, so I don't know. But then again, some people who's dead or something can look like they're asleep. I
Yeah.
really, really don't know if I'm being honest. But I have had lots of near misses of being dead. Um, about at least 20, and I stopped counting back in early 200s, the early 2000s, sorry. I stopped counting and I counted up to 20 by then of near misses where either somebody's told me to get out of this lane or I've literally went over 150-foot drop because my dog took my legs from under us and things like that, and I'm just inches away from the edge. So it's like sort of close calls and things. But I am able to come out of my body at will if I want to, like sitting up and or meditate, and I have when I've done meditating and you do like oh gosh, what do you call it again? Well, it's like similar to meditating, where you travel when you're traveling, to different places and different things like that. Astral
Astral
travel,
projection.
yeah, astral
Yeah.
travel. Thank you, dude. Yeah. I have been able to do that really, really quite easily, and spoken to loved ones who's passed over and me dog, and there was one time actually when I did that. Now, bear in mind, it's a real place I go to, and I've gone under the water and things. And one time when I went swimming with like a seal that had passed over, like a seal, like down here in Cornwall, one of the seals had died, and I did went to visit it, and we went swimming into the sea. And I went so deep, it was dark, and I was there by myself, and I saw what looked like an alien under the water, but it was hiding behind a rock, and you could see its head, but it looked quite similar to a grey,
Okay.
but its skin was very much like a shark. Do you know, like that blues and greys and things like that? But it had vivid red hair. It's really, really strange. But I sensed that it was a woman, and I sensed it think, say, what the heck are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here, type of thing. And
That's
it was frightened, and it's really odd. It's really, really, but I didn't think that. That's the thing. Okay, I did visualize, oh, that's the word. I did visualize going into the sea, but I didn't visualize I'm going to see something. I just went deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I just sort of stumbled over that.
Wow. So it sounds like whatever happened when you was 5 gave you the ability to actually leave your body at will, by the sounds of it, because obviously not everyone can do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I've had another weird experience. Another weird experience was I was waiting to go into work, and I didn't live very far from work, and so I'd get there like an hour early so I can get car parking space. So I'd set my phone and I'd do sort of visualization and meditating in the car, but I set my alarm, so obviously I didn't go past and be late, ironically. And anyway, in this particular thing, I walked through a place where it's actually real again. I walked through a place there, but some of the scenery had changed where there was like where the stream was a river, and the had a lot more trees and things. Had a lot more trees there, and I was walking through the woodlands, and I came across a house. This is in visualization, but I just visualized going down the stairs and meditating, and seeing where I am there. But after that, I don't think of anything else. I just go down to that journey of going down the stairs. Anyway, I went through the woods, and there was this like a log cabin there, and there was a woman taking in a washing off a line in a basket type of thing, and it was obviously like I say, like log cabin, and there's a tree on the when you're looking at it on the left hand side, and the face was weird. This is going to sound really, really stupid and crazy, but I recognised the face as being Nimue of Merlin. Now, no, I don't take drugs or anything like that. Okay, I will say this, and I was due to going to work, and she beckoned me into the house, and she was like I said again, this is one of these things I've never done, and I went into the house, and there was a fella there who had very long straggly hair, like really long. He looked a bit like the giant out of Harry Potter,
Harry Potter.
quite similar to that. But his face, yeah, but he's the big giant guy, that
Yeah.
English
Yeah.
actor, yeah. And his face kept changing though. He kept going young and everything. And I sort of weirdly knew him as being a Merlin. And like I said, and he asked me, what would you like? And I couldn't think of anything. I just thought, well, healing, you know. So he grabbed me hands like down, like pulled me down so I'm almost on my knees. And he was rubbing these two sticks above me hands, and sawdust was coming down and was hitting on my hands. And you know, and I could get like a sensation like my leg was healing, type of thing. And I thought, well, what can I give them as something as a help, like a help, you know, like to help them, because it was really, really strange. Now, when I walked into that room, like coming out from outside, there was a big log plank table on the left, a great big fire, a couple of other pieces of like furniture, a big bench type seat, like a long bench seat type of thing. And the woman asked me if I wanted something to eat, and she did. And the weird thing is, I could feel the heat off the fire. And when she gave me like a beef stew, it tasted weirdly a bit like lamb. And she gave me a glass of mead. Now this is the funny kicker thing. She gave me a glass of mead. Now I had never ever ever had mead in my life. I'm being absolutely honest. And if somebody had asked me, what does mead taste like? I would have thought it was some form of like a rich spicy wine or something. You know, I never had that in my life. But when I tasted it, it was extremely strong of honey, like a really, really strong honey. And it was really, really rich and everything. And like I said, I could taste everything. I could taste the wine. I could feel the fire feel the heat off the fire, and feel the glow on my face and everything. Well, anyway, it was time to go, and obviously I was still aware that I was actually in the car still. I hadn't nodded off. I could hear the traffic outside, and I was thinking, well, what can I give her? I couldn't give. This is what I thought to myself. I said, I can't give her something like a mobile phone. It's stupid, because you're talking like going back. It's like hundreds of years, you know. So I did visualize, mind. This is a cheat. I did visualize a big sack of flour, and obviously a big sack of flour appeared. Anyway, I was saying bye bye, and I was turning away, right? And the two of them were like standing in the doorway, waving back at me, and all of a sudden, it looked like something like a grey net came down, and the house slowly disappeared with them in it, but the tree stayed. And it wasn't till, and then I walked along the path again, and you know, like through the woods and back to where I need to be and back up the stairs type of thing, and come out and meditating and things. But like I say, I could still hear the traffic and everything outside. And the funny thing was, it wasn't until a year later, and I can swear on my daughter's life on this one, that it was near Christmas time, and I thought, oh, there's a mead recipe here. And I saw the ingredients. Mead is actually the main ingredient was honey. But I did go out and buy a year later, like some mead, and it was honey. But that was the weird kicker. The fact was that I never had that in my life, you know, never had that.
Did it
So
taste the
how the
same?
heck did I know it was? No, it didn't. the meat that I received, it was much richer and much sweeter and much stronger
Probably less
compared to the meat what
diluted.
you go and buy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really really strange. It was really strange.
What do you think's happened
Um,
to your life?
I don't know. I don't know if I've went into another dimension somehow. And I thought the kicker was the fact of the honey, the meat. Sorry, I think that was the kicker. So did I travel in time or what? But the fact that the building and them in it disappeared like a big, like a net, like a net came down. Do you know that you have the net in the windows back in the 80s and things? It was like that, like a grey net came down and the house disappeared, but the tree that was in front of the building was still there, but the house was gone. So I just found that really, really strange.
It is
But
strange because
I don't know.
people say you don't dream in colour. So although you mentioned
It
grey,
was in colour.
right?
Yeah, it was in colour, mind. It was in colour. And I do dream in colour. I will have to admit that. And it's always been in colour. But when every time I've done like a meditation or a visualization, I don't think of what the weather is, but it's always a bright sunny day. It's always like that. I've never visualized that. But it's always been like that. But I don't know what happened then. But I find it odd that I never had meat in my life. And like I said, like a year later, it's only when I stumbled across a recipe for meat and found out there was actually honey in it. And then obviously I bought some then. But I find it really, really very unusual. Um, Anyway, I've stumbled into that, like tell you about that story. I did actually write that down in like a little vision book thing or whatever. I did write that down with the dates and the time and everything on there. But another question I wanted to change was changing the subject is, do you know when people go and do their DNA? And this is like, where's my ancestors come from? I've always thought, well, how do they know that? And I'm wondering if all these different races of people, you know, like you've got your Oriental people, you've got your African and your people of the West, you know, like the blonde hairs and everything. I wondered if they've got different types of alien DNA that associates with them. Do you
We've
know
act-
what I'm saying?
we've actually got skeletons, etc., that's been found that has a mixture of hominid DNA as well as human DNA, as well as other hominids with hominids. So, for example, there's um, just using this example, there's Homo erectus and human had babies, and we found the skulls of them, and
Right.
Homo florensis and Neanderthal have had babies. So because the different hominids look different around the world, that probably explains why
Right.
we've got a different. Because we ended up us Homo sapiens
Yeah.
ended up with those different species. Some are no longer
Right.
here, however. Some we can find with DNA with skeletons and stuff, and others we can sort of figure out because certain populations have Homo erectus in them, but not all, and some have most of us have Neanderthal DNA in us. So we can kind of figure out
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that we bred with different hominids as opposed to aliens.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I suppose so. Because wasn't there like five different, I wouldn't say human races, but different races
Oh, there's
on
loads.
Earth, as it were. There was
No,
like at least five.
no.
Yeah,
Oh no, yeah, way
yeah.
more
There
than
was
that.
like the
Yeah.
Dennis and everything. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, yeah, I just wondered about that with the DNA. How can you say that? Like, say for example, I might have ancestors, say in China or somewhere. How would they know that? It must have been. I wonder if all these different races of people have got different type of aliens that makes them quite distinctively different to other races, if you know what I mean. That's what I was going to ask. That was
I,
my original question before I went on a tangent.
right. Yeah, I think
But
that what they
yeah,
do is they measure. I'm not an expert on this, but I think what they do is they measure the amount of DNA of one person, and then they track that back to whatever group had that most DNA. So, for example, if it was um, you know, European, for example, then they would say, well, you come from Europe originally. So because each sort of group that you mentioned, there's Africans and Orientals, etc. Obviously, all come from their own areas. So I think that's how they do it. I'm not an expert. There's a woman called Sherry who her job is that. So I don't know if she's listening tonight,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm trying to get her on to do a live one day, just because obviously she's got a lot of information that I don't, I don't know, like you just asked. So that would be good if I can get her
Yeah.
on one day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay then. I think that's about. I think that's about it. Like, yeah, I think that's about it for me to talk to you about. Unless somebody else drop in there. How do I turn this off to actually being talking to you? How do I do that?
I'm not sure, but
Or do
I
you
know.
just take?
Yeah, I can get rid of you now without, in a nice way.
Oh, in a very nice, polite way. Oh, okay, that's awesome. Okay, all right then. Okay,
Very
nice
much
talking
for
to you.
coming on.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I've learned how to do the button. That's a lovely lady there, wasn't it? I'm glad that she's, she's had that many near-death experiences. Then clearly her time is not yet. Sorry, it scrolled to the bottom, so I'm just trying to scroll back. Um, trying to find where I was. So I'm not sure if I've got all the way to the top, but Hippie has wrote, "Hello, beautiful souls." Oh, bless you. Aurora Blue Co has wrote, "That's how mine was." Because I've missed some, I don't know what that means. Sorry. Aurora's wrote, "It might have been how far gone you was." So maybe that's to do with the lady that was just on. Um, Cable Guy Matt has wrote, "I believe there's just a force in the universe all religions refer to as God, but we definitely seeded." Alfreda's wrote, "Yes, I knew it. The Orbs were people close to you." Simon Monster has wrote, "The universe is God, and my only belief is reincarnation." M. Bossin has wrote, "God is within you." Yeah, I mean, technically the Anunnaki's DNA is in us, so I would agree with you. Alfreda's wrote, "They say your soul leaves your body, you can see yourself when it leaves too quickly." Soul here serves wrote, "Soul contact not dated for exit yet." Very good. Hamps has wrote, "Man made God." So unfortunately, we have evidence the other way round. I'm sorry, we do. There's no denying that. Of course, if man made God, then all the other creatures that predated man, how did they get here? In which case it was evolution. In which case, what's the point of having God if only man created God? There's no point. If man wasn't here and we didn't create God, all the animals, etc., would have carried on. So the logic there doesn't sit right with me. Hippies wrote, "There is no consequences." Unfortunately, I've missed some bits there. Hippies wrote, "My phone hates me because of the typing error." No worries. I use my phone as an excuse when I can't type. Thoffers wrote, "Host." And then Thoffers wrote, "I can tell you the truth." If it's the same Thoff that I spoke to before, and you kept pointing me to things that I didn't agree with, then I don't know if we can go around in that circle again. Thoffers wrote, "Let me share it with you." The problem was, if you are the same person that you did show me, and I did look, and we had a discussion, and you didn't quite see it my way, where I was showing you evidence, and you had nothing to show me other than videos and stuff. So, sorry, I struggle. Simon Monsters wrote, karma isn't real or serial killers wouldn't exist. Do you know what? So I tell you what, Simon Monster, you go number 3 in the class for that. That is excellent, because that was one of my questions I used to ask clairvoyants, mediums, and spiritualists. Because when I was a kid, I used to hear, "You'll come back as the thing you hate most." That's what I used to hear, and I used to think to myself, I don't want to come back as, and I'll let you imagine what I didn't want to come back as. I really didn't want to come back as that. So when I got to the point of understanding that reincarnation is real, blah blah blah. So when I spoke to clairvoyants, mediums, etc., that was one of my questions: is do we go back round as what we hate the most, e.g., karma? And they said no. And if you go to Virginia University's studies, which they do massive amounts of studies in this, the reincarnation has no effect. This is their conclusion. No effect at all as to whether you was religious, whether you was black, white, pink, 7 foot, 3 foot, didn't matter on your previous life whatsoever. That light energy, being the orb, just went to another person. There's no connection. There's nothing that they could pinpoint to say, the person in the previous life, one reason or another. You could be different religion, doesn't matter. There's no. They looked at absolutely everything that they could possibly look at to see whether there's any connections between the reincarnations, and there isn't. So you are spot on. There is, from my experience, there's no karma. Means you can go and do what you want, but remember, it's not your life that you're rejoining with. If you believe what I believe, it's the orb is just going around learning, so it doesn't matter what you do here. You're not going to be punished, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's sad. I mean, otherwise Mr. Gates would get a good slap in the face. Hippies wrote, I believe in karma. Hopefully you didn't hear what I just said. I would love it to be the case, but it doesn't appear to be the case from what I've learned. Simon Monsters wrote, the Gateway Project you can listen to in earphones on YouTube can make you astral project. I wonder sometimes about astral projecting, because there's stories that I'd heard. Now, whether or not this is true, I don't know. That if you dream that you're falling in a dream and you hit the ground, you have a heart attack and die. Now, obviously, how do people know that that's what they were dreaming unless they have a heart attack and say, I was just dreaming I was about to fall and hit the ground? So I don't know how they know that if you dream and fall that you hit the ground, that's when you're going to die. But going along with that, to what you just said about astral projecting, okay, one sec, Alfredo. Sorry, yeah, I didn't notice. Did you request the live chat? You did. Okay, all right. Sorry, my bad. So yeah, going along with the astral projection, could you accidentally, if that was true, that you can die by hitting the ground when you're dreaming, could you accidentally die while not inside, while you're astral projecting? Could you have a heart attack because you see something, because you are frightened you can't get back, or anything? So of course, these people that do have, e.g. heart attacks or die for unknown reasons, is it because they've accidentally astral projected and maybe their astral projection got killed and therefore somehow they end up dying? I don't know, but interesting. Okay, so Alfredo wants to join in. He really just wants to get the number 1 in the class you watch. So here's Alfredo. Hello, Alfredo.
Hello, how are you, sir? How are you, everyone?
I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. Why are you always angry? Is what your video was trying to say. I was watching it. You know the video you've done.
I think it was something like, "Why are you shouting?" Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know me. I might pretend as though I've missed the message, but I do get what you're saying. Now, in terms of an astral projection, I was very, very lucky because I was with somebody who was very, very experienced in doing it. Kinesiologist, a witch, for want of a better word, right? And it took me no less than 3 years worth of meditating to do. So, to the lady who could just do it in and out, she was very lucky. I don't know why that was. Maybe it was that earlier experience, but for me, it meant I even had to change my diet. I reached a point of meditation where I just could not go any further. And oddly enough, all right, you ready for this? It's because of onion and garlic. They were stopping my ability to go to the next level. I don't know why, but that's what I was told. And I stopped it, and that's when I got to where I did. So, the first time it happened, I managed to look down on myself. And I can tell you right now, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but if that ever happens to you and you're doing it through meditation, I don't know how anybody else reacts, but I literally almost shit myself. It
Huh.
was one of the scariest things. But what you said about falling was spot on. So the person I was with told me, whatever you do, don't get scared and don't jump back in. Don't just like try to get back in. You'll float back in and it'll happen and it'll be instantaneous when it does. And she said if you push, something else can happen. So I think you're 100% right. If you hit that point where you fall in the dream or whatever it is, you have that heart attack, whatever it is, I think that definitely can happen. And part of that is, I think, because your soul or your, whatever it is, your light energy being your soul, whatever it is indelibly connected to your body. So when it has that moment of being separated, it can very easily freak out. Now, it took me, I don't know, I had maybe 4 projections before I decided, okay, this is getting too much. It's getting too wild. I need to back up. But what happened for me was I could go anywhere in a split second, but I could also return back in a split second. But I was always with somebody when I was doing it, so I never did it by myself. And I think that was probably a good thing because you're messing around with stuff you don't understand.
Yeah.
100%. And look, even to some extent, I was going to ask you the question. All right, yes, we've got Anunnaki blood, right? But do we know what they say? What 2% of theirs is of their DNA is ours? Was it something like that? 2%?
Well,
Whatever the
regarding the DNA, I don't think anyone's told us what the Anunnaki DNA is, so I don't think we actually have the percentage of it. Sherry's idea is that actually Homo sapien is what the Anunnaki was, so therefore that's why we are Homo sapien, and therefore we have a lot more of their DNA than we do Neanderthal, which makes sense because we don't have, we know we're not 100% Neanderthal, otherwise we would be Neanderthal.
right. The reason I ask is if they manipulated chromosome number 22 or whichever one it was, right? Cut the telomeres down so we shrink life or whatever. Do we know what it is that they actually gave us?
No, well, I was listening to Sitchin the other day talking about the exact same thing, and he didn't know either. All we can see, thank you, whoever's doing the gifts, sir. All we can see is that they wrote down the essence. Now, I have a feeling that the fused chromosome isn't to do with when they first created it. I have a feeling the fused chromosome is when they cut down our life expectancy to 120 years, which was after Noah's flood. So I don't. That's just my own opinion. I might be way off, and it may be something to do with us being created. But I have a feeling that the fused chromosomes is when they reduced us to 120 years, which is what it also says in the Bible.
Well, telomeres are specifically related to the length that you live. So if they have shrunk the telomeres, then that would result in a reduction in your lifespan.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's a proven thing. That 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 is a proven thing that telomeres relate directly to how long you live, and people who exercise have longer telomeres than people who don't exercise and have shorter telomeres. So, that in a way makes sense, right?
Right, yeah.
And the reason I ask that is because one, because of the whole, astral traveling thing, but the other thing was because of, it's going to sound weird again, but because of acupuncture. All right, I had a very bad car accident, and I was being treated using acupuncture with somebody who was apparently a master at it. Right, had needles all the way up through my right wrist, right the way up my arm, up the way up my neck, and then back down to the left wrist. When she put the last needle in, it felt like fire going through my wrist. And I was saying to her, it really, really hurts. Do something, right? And with acupuncture, you twist left or right depending on whether you want energy to flow or stop, right? So she was twisting, and it felt like she was driving a knife into my wrist. So I said to her, "That's enough. I can't take it. I'm pulling it out." And she's like, "Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out. Whatever you do, do not pull it out." And I went, "Yeah, rightio, bang," and just pulled it straight out. And I've done a lot of dumb things to myself in my life, but this is the only time I ever seriously thought I was going to die. And I actually felt energy coursing out of my body. And then I woke up on her desk, curled in a ball 3 hours later, shivering uncontrollably. And they started, giving me like fruit juice and biscuits and everything. And, they were saying that your blood sugar level dropped. But how can you have an instant hypoglycemic attack like that?
Mm.
You know what I mean? I think that there's some sort of meridian, or there's other points that within your body that we don't understand completely. And yes, I think part of it has something to do with chakras, which
Yeah, I was going to
basically
say
are just
that.
just energy centers that are spinning, right? Because that's what chakra means, spinning wheel. So when your chakra stops, or when one chakra stops, that's normally when you get some sort of disease in that area because the energy is not flowing, right? So my question was, you know, did the Anunnaki give us that sort of system in our body, or was that something that we already had, and they gave us something else completely?
Um, I can't answer that. I mean, ideally we should look to chimpanzees and see whether or not they've got chakras. If they have, then we would have probably inherited it from the Neanderthal. But if they don't, or if no other species on this planet has a chakra, then we would have got it from the Anunnaki, I would have thought. But I don't think they would have gave it to us, because all they wanted to do was just get a worker race. So I don't think they would have gave us anything extra that's not needed.
But then that means we already automatically had those energy centers and things like that, yeah?
Probably more than likely, I would imagine.
Well, if it, I know because I paid a ridiculous amount of money to do this, but my dog used to get acupuncture.
All
So
right.
so they would, that's a whole other story, but they would, if a dog can have acupuncture and run off the same kind of thought process of, having meridians and points in the body, um, that would indicate that, other animals have those sort of things
Yeah.
too. So maybe that was something that naturally we have.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine the Anunnaki. That makes sense. For if your animals got it, then yeah, we probably all of us probably have it, including probably the Anunnaki.
Yes, you're right, Kerry. Horses do get acupuncture as well. So that's got to be a system that is within, you know, most mammals. Um, so maybe they didn't give that to us, but the question is, what did they give to us? Power of speech?
Well, have you read the tablets where the first six failed? The They had one couldn't urinate, one had broken feet, one had basically 6 different problems, and then eventually they got one that could. One of them couldn't talk. That was the other problem. There was no sound come out when they gave it a good smack. So yeah, they obviously tweaked us to be able to create something that could talk, to be able to not only be smart enough to understand their direction, but also verbally communicate with each other, so that we can actually get work done.
And history and coins, you are 100% correct that they do get chiropractic on them as well. And I can tell you right now, there are very, very few things as interesting as watching a male Staffordshire Terrier get his neck uncricked by a dog chiropractor. They're not sure what's actually happened to them for a second there. They want to attack for 1 second and then realise, oh, hang on, that feels nice. And then they obviously stop attacking. And the amount of money that I paid to do that was ridiculous. So, yeah, the whole out-of-body experience thing, I know other people seem to take to it, like water, but I can tell you from somebody who has experienced something spot on with that, it was scary to me, and it took me a long time to be able to get my head around exactly what was happening. And I know that the person who was guiding me was exceptionally knowledgeable. I mean, this person showed me something called putting someone in the freezer, right? And that is when you're having an interaction with somebody that you don't want to have an interaction with, but you keep interacting with them. If you want to cut that energy, she showed me a process whereby you basically get something that they've put energy into, even if it's like, writing their name on a piece of paper. You get that and you do some stuff to it, and then you put it in the freezer, and you won't, or your interaction, the energy between you two will stop.
How do you spell Frida?
How do I spell it?
It's a joke. You saying that you put their name in the freezer and he stopped talking. Sorry, it was a bad joke. Sorry.
Yes, but you don't know the trick on how to put them in the freezer. There's a slight difference, but
All right, no, I was only messing.
I can tell you now that I had a particular police officer who I was having issues with, who was chasing me for something that I didn't do, let's say, and and I did it with him, and it disappeared. And this person was 100% hell bent on getting me, and needless to say, I'm still free. So I know that it works. So there are other.
Hang on a minute. Is that policeman now in the freezer?
He was for a while, but I also found out that
actually in the freezer.
But when you freeze someone else's energy, you also freeze part of your own. So you can't do that forever. You can only, well, I only did it until the statute of limitations on that particular alleged crime had expired. So after that, obviously they were taken out of the freezer. But I've got no people in the freezer at the moment, and I'm keeping it that way. And yes, you may be right, Marion. It may well be witchcraft, but it is also some sort of science that we don't understand. Bobcat in my freezer once, Kerry. And can I just say, Kerry is, who writes their questions down before talking to you? Oh my God, she was just reading off a piece of paper. Unbelievable. Funny, but come on, Kerry, make an effort, son. So yeah, look, thank you for letting me jump on and just sharing that story with you. Like I said, for some people it's much easier. It wasn't for me. I was meant to stay in this body, I think.
Aw, just mind yourself with your blowtorch.
I'm looking at it right now. It's calling me.
Sorry about you, I really do.
So somebody else left a comment on one of my pages saying, you really do need adult supervision.
Yeah.
And I think
there
may be some truth to it.
You spent all that money on acupuncture and whatever. I can give you some help free of charge. Grab, put it in the freezer and don't touch it again.
Thankfully, that was one that the insurance company paid for. But, that was a whole other scam that I was running, but we won't talk about that now. Um, these things happen. So, look,
I,
thank you very, very much. Once again, sir, you outdo yourself with, the research and everything that you do, and there are so many people who are better for it. So, when you hear people saying to me, what research have you done, and all that sort of shit, I don't know if they sound like that, but that's how they type. Um, you know, don't listen to them. You do good work.
thank you, thank you.
Not a problem at all. You continue on. Have a good night. I will be modding my tail off to make sure that there are as few numpties come to you as possible.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much.
No, not a problem at all.
Thank you. You can go number 2 in the class for that.
Oh, look, as long as Kerry's not 1, 2, or 3.
What have I started? Okay.
Cool. I will catch up with you.
All right. Cheers. See you later. Oh wow. So Kerry's I thought he just wanted number 1, but he's happy to stop you from having 1, 2, or 3. That's crafty. Mr. King has wrote, hello, Mr. King. This is live, by the way, everybody, so I will get to your questions. Karma is why that exists. Scott Hills wrote, yes, like I say, everything that I've done, either talking to clairvoyants, mediums, and spiritualists, or the research that I've done, there is no karma. I can see the logic in it, but and I believed in it, but until you do the research, it comes across none. Simon Monsters wrote, take back seed oil and eat apricot kernels to cure cancer. Also, pure lemon juice helps. That's interesting to know. Unfortunately, my brother's girlfriend has got and her sister's also got it. So I will try and remember that and pass that on. Thank you. Scott Hills wrote, to experience those things and learn something they did cause an effect. I don't know if that's referring to the karma. Again, I'm only going by what research I've done. Mr. King has wrote, that's great. I'm good, thank you. At Kerry. Sorry, I didn't see the at until after I read it. So I do read everything out. Hippies wrote, have to go back to work, y'all, but stay amazing and have a great day. Oh, thank you very much. That's nice. Scrolling down. Simon Monsters wrote out of body experience. That was when the person was trying to remember the name of what it was, I think. Simon Monsters wrote, you have a string attached to you. I'm guessing that was the guest that you was talking about. Alfreda's wrote, that's how I had my out-of-body experience through meditation. Yeah, that was probably that lady that was chatting earlier. Here, Sarah's wrote, I do remote viewing through meditation. So Winnie's basically saying that she's spying on people. Winnie. Martin's wrote, hi, my mum passed. Oh, Martin, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I don't know what to say because mine passed recently, and there's nothing you can say. I don't think it's just you have to just do what you do. That's all you can do, really. So my sympathies go to you and your family. Oh, Martin's wrote, she looked like she was asleep. Yeah. When I don't know whether it's lucky enough or not, but when my mum passed a month or so ago now, virtually all the family was in the room. We knew this was coming, and yeah, she looked like she was asleep when she went. So yeah, in a way, she did go while it. Look, for me, I looked at it that it could have been worse. She could have been run over. She could have been in pain for a lot longer. Blah blah blah. So, in a way, she went peaceful, and you know. So, from my point of view, that's what I take from it. Scrolling down, people chatting to each other, um, talking to Martin, which is understandable. Simon Monsters wrote, "It always happens to me when people pass." I'm guessing that's something to do with what people are saying, but I'm not obviously reading out everyone's chats to Martin. So yeah, people were chatting to Martin. Scrolling down. Alfredo's wrote, "Interesting story, but she's pushing 15 minutes." Yeah, I wasn't expecting to have anyone on tonight, Alfredo. So I didn't set a timer. So my bad. Maybe I should do make sure that that's a set rule from now on. Alfredo's wrote, "Yes, it's been 15 minutes." Just saying. Sorry, I didn't even see that because obviously I don't get to these messages until later. I think you can pin something. I might have seen it if you pinned something. Stevens wrote, "Chariots of the Gods." So I'm guessing you're referring to Eric von Doniken's book, Chariots of the Gods, which obviously then. See, the thing with Eric is when I listen to him doing his live, chats or interviewed, etc., he's still not 100% on the same page as Zachariah Sitchin, which I don't know. I don't know why he's not really. He's one of the forefathers that Eric is of letting us know about ancient aliens, but he's not on the same page as Zachariah Sitchin, really, in the big scheme of things. So I struggle with that. I would love to chat with Eric and sort of go through it all with him and sort of make him see what I see from the evidence, which obviously he's evidence based himself. So I don't know why he doesn't grasp that. But a triple moon goddess has wrote, "We're called RHs with an S, RHS, RHs." Someone wants to join the live, so I'm going to set Alfredo's top two. Hello there.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me? I don't know if it's me or you breaking up.
I don't know.
Oh, now I can hear you. Okay.
I can see if that helps.
Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. So, I had a question about Lloyd Pye. Have you listened to his full movie? Everything You Know Is Wrong?
Many times, but not very recently. But yes, I have many times.
Yeah, I just purchased his book, and I kind of like his idea on the hominids that he thinks that are still alive in the deep niches where we can't really exist or live. He thinks these Neanderthals are still existent. They're still alive today. And I wanted to see what you thought about that.
I can't remember saying that. Forgive me, but if he did say that, I would probably say yeah. There's a cave system in, I can't remember, it's Bolivia or somewhere, that's 20 miles long, and it's got its own ecosystem. So I guess from that point of view, and it's still not fully explored. So from that point of view, I guess creatures could be somewhere underneath the ground that we haven't actually possible.
Haven't actually seen them. Of course, they wouldn't tell us about it either. But I guess he came across some footprints that he thinks that are, they're accurate according to how the footprint presses into the ground and comes up, and they can actually take a look at it and say, hey, that's not a fake footprint, that's real. And they can even test the weight, how it presses down, how heavy the being was in comparison to a human.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting.
I guess logic would say, look, there's Bigfoot out there, yet we still haven't
Exactly.
got one. Be a lesser amount of hominids out there, living under the ground. So I guess it's possible. Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, I know I'm off topic here. They were talking about you guys were talking about out of body experiences and near death experiences, and something I haven't experienced yet, so I can't really say anything on that.
It's probably good. I probably wouldn't suggest you want an out of body experience. I don't know. Just I'd worry about it myself. But
Yeah, I mean, if I had one and I survived it, I'd probably give my testimony or whatever they want to call it. But then again, I still wouldn't know much about it because it's an experience, so you don't really know. My opinion.
yeah, I guess what you're saying is you have that experience, but it's still possibly. Sorry, Alan.
Oh, okay, there we are. Sorry, I guess I went in and out. I don't know what's going on, but
Okay.
it could be my internet. But
Is it? Are you saying that it's possible because sometimes people believe in the dreams that they had? Are you saying that the out of body experience may have just been a dream that they believed and they thought it was real?
oh no, it's probably real. I wouldn't be able to accurately explain it if
Right.
it's I wouldn't know what it is. But because you can't, like what they try to do, scientists or your people who are in material things, you won't be able to put it on a scale and test it in a model. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a repeatable test sort of thing that you can do on that.
Yeah, but anyway, I just want to come on and say hi. I was on last time, so
What's your name?
I,
Yeah. Okay.
but
Have you got your? Yeah, I can't remember if I've come across any of yours. If I have, I've obviously watched them and liked them. But
yeah, I think it was last weekend or something. But
yeah, no. I mean, do you do your own videos? Do you put any videos up yourself?
oh, I haven't made my own. Like if you're saying made my own videos. Usually I download them from YouTube,
Oh,
and
right.
I take certain spots that are interesting and I put them up on my TikTok that actually that emphasize what I understand or
Yeah.
makes
No.
sense.
Yeah. I thought I'd seen your name and I've liked some of the videos you've done, but um, yeah. So a friend got the background image of the book, Lost Book of Enki.
Yeah, that's my favorite book.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is really good the way he pieced it together. Like he said, Zechariah Sitchin said that he has 800 different sources he used. I would like to see those sources and be able to translate them. But
Yeah, me too. I was
but go ahead.
watching the other day when he was a bit younger, and he was saying that he believed that the Anunnaki was called the Nephilim. But however, when you get to the Book of Enki, which is after he'd done that interview many years after, he doesn't mention the Nephilim at all until it comes down to the period of um, the young Anunnaki breed, the Itushi breeding with human people. So I think he changed his tune on that down the line on them being actually the race names being called Nephilim, because otherwise he would have had Nephilim all over the place in the Lost Book of Enki. What do you think?
When I read his book, and it kind of that's where it blurs the lines for me. I think his understanding of the Nephilim, and he's getting it obviously. The Nephilim he's obviously getting from Genesis 6. Probably you're familiar with it because I've seen you chat on it before on your videos. The Nephilim, I think, if you look at the context differently, the Nephilim was a different name for the sons of the gods, or the Igigi. That's what they started calling them. They break it down from the Hebrew as fallen ones, but there's different ways to interpret it. There's like probably 4 or 5 different ways to actually translate it. I think what he's trying to say is that means the ones that came down, and that's what they started calling them. And then you read after that, it says the same became, the mighty ones of old, the great ones renowned, whatever. I think that would be the children, not the Nephilim, which is a Hebrew way of looking at it. So that's where he's coming from, I think.
Brass. So what's their race name? And he said Nephilim, as a whole. So I think down the line he probably changed his tune when he learnt a little bit more as to what you pretty much say.
Yeah, he probably just said, yeah, in a way he did, so we can understand it, because I don't read biblical Hebrew. I mean, my wife can, but that's where I get the understanding from, but I can't.
All right.
So
is your wife religious by any chance?
no, not at all. She's down to earth. She's Jewish, Israeli, but she's not religious, like what we think of it. Not at all.
All right, okay. Because when you said you can read that kind of language, I thought, I wonder if she's religious, and how does that cope for you living with her?
Oh no, yeah, that's not at all. It's not at all the same as an American Christian, is what I would call it, or cultural differences between Christians. It's usually the American ones that are a little nutty, but my opinion. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are bad. I'm just saying, some of them really, really are just too much. But
I have to be careful what I say out here, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I should probably reword that. I don't want to get you banned. Not at all.
Yeah, no. Some of them very, into it, shall we say, without looking outside the box.
Which is the best way to look at it, is outside the box. Look at it. What do they call it? Literally. Look at it without bias.
Yeah.
What it actually says. Yeah.
Definitely.
But
brilliant.
So, I haven't got a chance to watch your. Was it the video on the Mexican aliens? Did you come across anything new about that?
Are you a Patreon member then? Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, yep, I am. So,
have you not watched the first episode? Or have you not?
I haven't seen it pop up. Maybe it's just me.
All right, they're both Patreon now, part 1 and part 2. But part 2 group, and you basically see literally run the media that literally, tell everyone things are fake and debunk when there's no evidence whatsoever. And really, I mean, you realise how deep it goes. Run the media that are all part of the Bilderberg group. It's quite scary. You see how easy, we get told, to have this thing in the arm and whatever else, and they all follow the same narrative, and they're all pretty much run by the same. It's worth watching the second part anyway, for sure, I think.
Alrighty. Yeah, you were cutting out, so I'm just trying to piece it together, but I think I understood what you meant and said. So, yeah. I don't want you to spoil it for anybody who's hasn't seen the video. So, I would definitely like to watch it. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the next one should be the Billy Meyer one. I stopped because obviously Mexican aliens came up, and I thought I have to do something on that. It's current, but the next video should be the Billy Meyer series, which I think is going to be quite long. There's a lot of, I don't know if you know Billy Meyer, but there's a lot of possible tampering with his evidence that may make him look fake. So I've got to be careful how I handle it. But yeah, it's interesting.
That would be interesting. I think my next door neighbor talked about that just recently. So that would be an interesting view, just to get your take on it.
Yeah, there's some things I don't agree with what he says. Um, I'll save it for the video.
Yeah, yeah. Best thing to do. Don't spoil that.
Yeah, no, it's good though. It's yeah. It goes further than I thought it did at the beginning. The Billy Meyer story goes. Yeah.
Oh, let me see if get a good connection here. Maybe it's me, but I'm right next to my router, so I'm trying to keep a strong signal.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know if it's me. I mean, me.
Well,
If anyone tells me it's me, then at least I know. But otherwise, it might just be you listening to me. I don't know.
maybe you're giving too much information, and TikTok doesn't like that.
But I'd say they really have shadow banned me. I used to get like 100 likes in an hour. Now I'm getting one if I'm lucky.
And I
They're not
noticed
picking out.
yeah, I noticed when I first started, it used to have like what 300 plus people on here. Now I see like what 48 to 50, maybe 90.
Yeah, even the regulars say that they don't even get notifications anymore that I'm on a live.
Oh yeah, that they are screwing you. It sounds like something's not right.
Yeah, but I'd rather have 40 good people than 300 good people.
Yeah, pretty
um,
like 300 non-plus people or
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think they are shadow banning me.
well, you
Probably.
still have like 220,000 followers, so that's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, thank you. I mean, what I'm proud of with that is, it's, I don't sort of no disrespect to you. There's other people out there that will grab their own, grab other people's content and use that, which is great. Someone just pinned something about the choppy internet, but I don't know. I just missed it as it came up. Sorry,
oh yeah, it was a poll or something. Something about choppy, yeah, choppy internet.
because I mean I can hear you crystal clear, but you can't hear me, so I still don't know which way round it is.
Oh, I mean, sometimes you cut in, cut out. So maybe if you, I just came on to say, ask you a few things, just to make it better for the folks down below. Maybe we can end it here if you'd like.
Uh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for helping out there. Let me know.
All right. Well,
Sorry, it's only because Alfredo told me that I should do 15 minutes per person.
yeah, yep. And I probably had my minutes, so or something. I haven't been counting, but
I'm looking at the poll actually. Everyone says about the choppiness. Oh, right. Okay. So it was 50-50. Some people can
oh,
hear
okay.
you, me, and some people can't.
Oh, okay. It
Sorry.
could be me, but all right. Well, I'll let you go, and I appreciate the talk and the. I'll do. We could do it again sometime, definitely.
Got the Lost Book of Enki as their title picture. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure we can chat for hours about that.
Oh yeah, I just got to get the book, and then we could talk. I could every single chapter I could talk about, but
Brilliant. Yeah, we'll have to do that one day actually.
yeah, it's a good
That'd be cool.
idea.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Let me see if I can kick myself.
Or how you do it.
Disconnect.
Right, okay, I had a different image for him. Anyway, that was nice of him. Hello, Sirs. Right, love the live chat tonight. I have a house full of teenagers doing a Harry Potter marathon. Got to go, love. History and Coins was right. I was letting you know, sir. Thank you very much, History and Coins. Hopefully, my sound is still okay. So, History and Coins, right. From your research, how did they get those huge carvings to the edge of Easter Island? Sorry, Alfredo's now pinned something. Strange that Billy, he who shall not be named, Carson, is having a private live with 40 or 50? Question mark. I've not been invited. Yeah, I put a post up on one of his videos. He was talking about Ningazida being Odin. My research has never taken me there, and he said on his video, he said that Ningazida, or should I say Hermes, was one side. I think it was Hermes or Thoth or Ningazida. I can't remember which one he said. And on the other side of this door was Odin. I hope that isn't his connection between Ningazida and Odin. I hope that he's not attributed two things on one door to mean the same person. Because generally what you find is wherever culture you're in, you have that one name. Like Ra is not in Sumerian. Marduk is not in Egyptian. You wouldn't have, unless it was Hermes, which would have been still wrong because Odin is a Norse mythology as opposed to Greek. So nowhere have I come across two different cultures with gods that are saying the same name but in different. Well, we worked it out, yes, but I've never come across anything that says, "Oh, Ishtar is Aphrodite is what was her other name? Inanna." So I've never come across anything. Obviously, Ea stroke Enki, but that's just his name change in the same area that he was at, but different cultures. I've never come across it. So if our friend Billy is saying that because a door has two different names on it, therefore it belongs to the same person, if he's saying that, then he can keep his 40 people that's listening to him, and I'd rather not go down that road. Sorry, going back to history and coins. How did you get the carvings of Easter Island? So I've done that video, which I'm guessing you watched, on Easter Island. Now, if you've watched the video that I did the documentary on my Patreon page of the Easter Island, you'll see that the locals believe that they were moved with ropes around the top of it and walked. In other words, one side pulled it and it sort of rocked, then the other side pulled it and it rocked. Now they only did it with a half-size one. If they did it with a full-size one, there is no hope of them doing that, because the just because of the pure tallness of an original one instead of a half-size one, and the size of the bottom of the stone. So as they pull it, if they make one mistake, that whole thing will come down and it'll crash and break. So I really don't think they did that. I think just because it's the same as the old saying, isn't it? Just because you can do something doesn't mean that's how it was done originally. And I don't think pulling one of those 25, 30 foot statues, or even taller, was done by ropes back when they first were moved there. And of course, they were doing it on that video that I showed, the documentary, which everyone should go watch on my Patreon page. History and Coins wrote, that's why I asked. Yeah, it's so if you watch that documentary, you'll see that they show it being walked on a flat, level, almost gravel ground, whereas the actual Maui are all over the place, up hills, down hills, round bends, actually even positioned on slopes. So for them to have done that and not broke some is remarkable. Of course, when you watch my documentary, you'll realise that the actual rock that they used, which was volcanic rock, does actually have, wait for it, hands up, who knows what kind of rock, or what kind of thing would it be in the rock, the same type of thing as all the other monuments around the world. Quartz. And I always look for quartz in these monuments. So once you realise it's got quartz in it, and every other monument around the world's got quartz in it, it's also got some basalt in there as well, but also basalt was used in many ancient Egyptian structures. as well as the limestone, which has also got quartz in it. So once you realise quartz is in that, compared to no quartz, you realise that it was probably moved the same way that all the other buildings and structures were made, using possibly, in my opinion, levitation from sound frequencies, which makes sense to me. So I think that's how they got them moved back. And if you watch my documentary, I don't want to spoil it, but I actually show that the Polynesians that supposedly built them had no idea how they were even built, why they were built, but yet they can remember the king's name. The first king they passed, because those people on that island passed down the traditions orally. So they can remember the name of the very first king, but they can't remember how 100, was it 1,000? I think it was 1,000. Sorry, my brain's gone. 1,000 of these massive statues that would have took a lot longer to carve and move around if he was doing it by bloody ropes like they suggest they did. So they not only don't remember why they were built, how they were built, and what purpose were they built for. So clearly the Polynesian people that arrived there 800 and something BC, if I remember correctly, it's all in the documentary, they arrived there and they were there already. And then they set up a first king there, which is why they remember the king's name. But those statues were there already, and I go into detail as to why they would have been there already and what they would have been possibly used for in my documentary on my Patreon page, which is why my Patreon page is so good, because it's got videos that no one else will tell you. Wayne has wrote, and it's only a couple of quid. Wayne's wrote, don't you need the sun and moon for day and night to work? So it's a fair question. However, I'm guessing you're referring to back in the day. There was something that I read in one of the Sumerian translations about basically a ball of light that Marduk ended up moving from one place to another, and that seemed to me to be light source for them to use, for the sort of normal people to use. And if you do believe that the pyramids around the world, there's over 1,000 pyramids, if you do believe that the majority of them are used for power source, in other words, the free electric to go around the world, then it makes sense that there would have been something for that electric to actually use for. There's no point in producing electric if you've not got a device or some way of harnessing that electric for some benefit. So there's a possibility that the electric back then was being used to produce possibly a fake light source, which would explain why they could build things at night if they wanted to. So I don't think it's impossible back then to have electricity or light in the night time. Alfredo's right. Give the screen a tap if you're enjoying the live. So there's none. No one's enjoying it. Kerry's wrote, time check 6:30. Thank you, whoever's doing the hearts now. You don't have to. Alfredo's wrote, I wanted to my astral. Yeah, so I'm behind, and he did. Martin's wrote, honestly. Alfredo's wrote 3:30 a.m. time. This is live. I'm reading out every single question. You can come on live if anyone wants to chat to me. Just scrolling down. The Chosen Ones wrote, that snapback feeling is crazy. I'm guessing you've had a out-of-body experience then to say that the snapback feeling is crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I've heard. So I'd love to have known your story as well. I do, when I listen to people's stories, I sort of, the more you hear of them, and they're all sort of sounding the same, you realise that either these people were just accidentally deluded, but they're all deluded at the same time, or something really is happening. Someone's asked to come onto the live. Let's have a look, see who it is. It's, oh, you're going to be able to tell me how to pronounce it. It's E-I... And here comes Enin,
Hello.
hello.
Hi, my name is Tanya. um, well, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, hi, I'm Tanya. I'm from Bolivia in South America, and I just would like to say, sorry, my English not perfect, but I would like to say that, this year I gathered so much information about all these things, and first I felt so lost and confused, and then I found your channel and more information, and I want to thank you because you helped me organize a lot of things I found out, and now it makes more sense to me. And I also would like to say that it's really nice to find people like in your chat and in your channel that also believes in these sort of things, because it makes me feel really lonely here. I even lost friends, and I had discussions with my boyfriend because he doesn't believe in these things at all. So it's really nice to find people who believe the same things and are investigating and researching and kind of tuning in the same thing. And even though I see and I read that sometimes you get other people that, of course, just want to be right and prove you wrong. Anyway, you made a big impact in people, even far away like me in South America. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Bless you. That's lovely. Thank you so much. And I'm sure the people listening, who, as you say, also research this kind of stuff, I'm sure they're all shouting out thank you as well. That's lovely. Yeah, no, I feel sorry for you. Trust me, I know how it is when you talk to people and they don't want to hear. I was with a girlfriend a long time ago, and we went out for a meal with her family, and one of them said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I research this sort of stuff." And they all just stopped talking to me. Literally, just stopped talking to me over this dinner, and I was just sitting there thinking, "Wow." So I know how it is that you can be treated, because people don't want to hear it really. So I'm so sorry that you went through that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Many people are not ready for this, and maybe in England even there are more people more open-minded. Here is more difficult. People is very Catholic or religious. So when you present any other theory of things, they also get angry, or as you say, they just stop talking to you. They think you're crazy, that you believe you're better than the others, and they just think you're into this conspiracy crazy thing because you're ignorant. When I think it's the opposite. It's for people who, like you, had the research for all these things. So just keep on going, and thank you so much. And if anyone would like to exchange information and get in touch, it would be lovely. We can add to each other.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Am I mistaken? I think Bolivia's got a massive pyramid there.
Once I commented this, actually my hometown is La Paz, and outside the city there is very, very interesting archaeological ruins called Tiahuanacu. I visited that when I was young, when I was 8, with my classroom, and since then I felt something so, I cannot really explain, but those stones and the pyramids, things that are kind of destroyed, but the energy in the stones and the heads, you can Google it. There are some heads of aliens in rocks on certain wall. So since I was a child, I could understand that was definitely not made by humans. Here there are many theories, of course, that indigenous did it back in the days. But it's a place that hasn't been explored. It's very interesting, almost as interesting as Machu Picchu in Peru could be. And I know there are a lot of information there that the government or researchers are just keeping for themselves, not sharing with us. But if you ever could take a look and maybe make a documentary about this place as well, there are so many interesting things and so many answers there. And the energy, if you ever, any of you people have the chance to come over to South America and visit those ruins, the energy you feel there is really amazing, and it's, I guess some people can really feel it, some others don't, but it's really fascinating.
Yeah, there's just to let everyone know, including yourself. I don't know if you're aware of this, but on YouTube there is a site or a channel called Coast to Coast AM. It's the American radio show, but it's on YouTube. And I was listening to it the other day, and it was about there was a special guest on talking about the Bosnian pyramids. And I'm looking at it now. I'm only halfway through listening to it, but I think you should listen to it because exactly what you just said there about the healing and the energy. This gentleman that was actually allowed by the Bosnian government to actually go in to the pyramid was talking exactly about the same frequencies that were still there now and healed. Not healed him, but was healing, had healing properties. So. You should go if you get a minute. Go and listen to the YouTube video on it.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. I will totally. There's also, well, I don't know if you like those kind of documentaries about History Channel, but they also did a documentary in those ruins, and they particularly focus on a place there called Pumapunku, where they have stones carved in the shape of H. So they really work like bricks, and the perfection in the stones could only be done like by a laser and stuff like that. So of course, it doesn't make sense that indigenous back in the days could have done that by hand with just tools. It's really fascinating, and that was the beginning of, for me, this journey to understand the world, because none of the explanations my teachers or the guides in that museum, in that archaeological place, gave me never made sense to me. At some point, I even wanted to study archaeology. I made one semester. Then I decided to turn into design and art. But I always been researching. So if you are an enthusiast in archaeology and history, all the things you explain in your channel really makes a lot of sense at the end.
Oh, thank you. You said you did 1 term at history or archaeology. Did you get to the point while you was doing that and find that moving forward you won't learn, they won't teach you the things that you want to learn, they'll only teach you what they want you to learn, and it won't be nothing to do with aliens or ancient buildings like pyramids or anything like that?
Yeah, exactly. They never have the proper answers. They just even, it's funny now, sometimes the president makes some ceremonies in that place, and other culture, which is the Aymara culture, has taken over, but obviously these ruins are way, way, way older. And the stories you hear in that town from elder people are really fascinating, because they tell this was made by aliens, but of course the official narrative just gives credit that it was made by previous indigenous cultures. Here in Bolivia, we have a lot of languages and indigenous still now, which is very interesting. And but that also makes it harder to debate about this place, because they don't want to listen that this could have been made by aliens, and they, as soon as they listen that, they just think you're crazy. I don't know if all the research they've been doing ever will be presented to the public, but I've been researching things, and that place is way, way older than we think, than we were told. And they also have in the museum some skulls in strange shapes that could definitely be made by aliens. And maybe it's not so popular in the world. It's kind of a little secret. Many tourists come to South America, mostly to Peru, to Machu Picchu. But just if you know about this place and go there, and it's not too far from the city. So if any of you ever have the chance to travel, you should really go there. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I haven't been there myself, but it's somewhere I'd love to go for sure. Um, yeah, Pumapunku is amazing. Yeah, you're very lucky. Have you actually been to the actual Pumapunku site yourself?
Yes, I have been there. Not lately. Like I went there a couple of times when I was younger. Um, I know some improvements have been done, and but there is no money or government support to be digging or finding more things. Also, there is a very interesting connection with a lake, which has a very funny name. The name of the lake is Titicaca, and it shares borders with Peru. And they call it here El Lago Sagrado, which is the sacred lake. And underneath, it's supposed to be a lot of mysteries and even gold. But nobody really explores it. And if they do, they don't let us know what they found out. There are even many books I found back in the days, like from the 40s or 50s in German, which I don't speak. It was written by German researchers that came here. There are even histories about, I don't know if I can say this word, Nazis coming back in the days to explore, because even them found it really, really fascinating. And I don't know if I will live long enough to know the truth about this place, but it's really so many mysteries there and probably so many answers.
Yeah, there's for Lake Titicaca, there's a lot of stories that there is, as you say, an underground dwellings, whether it's not necessarily a city, but some stories report that there's a pyramid under there, but also a lot of reports of UFOs going into the lake and coming out. So there's something in there for sure.
Yeah, and the energy in the place also, it's very interesting. There is some islands on that lake that are dedicated to the moon and to the sun. So really, it's really, really fascinating. It's sad that we don't have enough support from the government or maybe other researchers coming to find out answers there. But in a way, I also think they do it on purpose. Like, it's too interesting that they want to hide it, maybe on purpose, because otherwise it will be too shocking probably for people to know all the things that are hidden there.
No, I agree. I think there's probably money if there was a reason to do it, but there's no reason to let people know about our true history. They don't want that, so I think they'll keep it quiet and hope people forget about it. I mean, I was going to ask. I heard that the H blocks in Pumapunku were moved from their original position. Have you heard that?
Well, that's supposed to be a pyramid that is destroyed. They don't really know how it was destroyed because those blocks are really, really heavy. So it's like some blocks have flown away. I don't know if that's the correct term, from their original place, and moved. Yes. And something very interesting there is also like a portal. It's called La Puerta del Sol, the sun's door.
Yeah.
Door, like you say in Britain, which is supposed to be, the local people says that if you cross it, you will end up in another dimension. And of course, you cannot cross it now, is control. But it's really interesting there how it has a calendar and they adore the sun, which they call Wiracocha, which is like a word to say the god sun, something like that. And there is a place, I don't remember right now, in the same archaeological ruins that has some heads, like 200 heads, and some of them definitely don't look human at all. So the theory is that this was like a convention of, at the time, every race existing on Earth. So there is one head belonging to each race.
Right.
It's, as I said, it's really, really interesting, and I invite you all people to Google it. You will be really fascinated with this.
And down bit.
And yes, and you are very much invited if you ever want to come over to Bolivia. It will be lovely to meet you.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you. I will now look at my diary. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. I'm so glad you found people that's like-minded, and I'm sorry that you've had all that problems in the past.
Yeah, that's the saddest part, maybe, to be a little more awoken, I don't know, than the others. You get a bit isolated as well. So as I said before, finding you and people thinking similar is really comforting for me, because I don't feel that crazy
Oh,
anymore.
if I can do these videos and no one debunk me, then I must be, without sounding big-headed, I must be kind of right. And if I'm right and you're, agreeing with me that you believe the same thing, then I think we're all right and they're all wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really nice. I love Saturdays to check if you're online, and well, I really would love if you ever have the time to research about this place and make a video, because probably you will give me some answers that I've been waiting for since I'm 8, and nobody here seems to be answering or caring to answer, because the truth maybe is too much.
And I have, Pumapunku and Titicaca, I have researched a lot, but I don't think I've actually done any videos. So maybe one day I will look into it a little bit more and do some videos. Yeah, sorry, I haven't done it.
Yeah, it could be really, really interesting. And also for more people to know in Britain or in other countries in Europe about us and about this place that is not so famous probably, but is very, very, very interesting, and definitely way older than we've been told. And no explanation that I've been given really makes sense other than aliens, really.
Story of Lake Titicaca was that it got the location, the actual buildings and everything got flooded over with the Great Flood, which means if that's true, then it's older than 10,000 years, which means it's, again, another oddity, because obviously, back 10,000 years ago, we wasn't supposedly building structures like what would be at the bottom of Lake Titicaca. So, yeah, it's got a lot of history to it, for sure.
Yes, yes, and a lot of connection with Incas. They are even theories that say that this was previous to any Inca construction in Peru, or that from the lake you can have like an underground connection to Machu Picchu, and things like that are really interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, if the story is true that the flood came over, then it would have all been covered up. The tunnels, but there were so many tunnels around the world that we probably don't even know about to this day because of it being covered over with the flood. Mud, sand, dirt, silt, and stuff.
Yeah, yes, and when this was found, like around the 40s. No local researchers were involved, just foreigners. As I said, the first books about this place are written in German. And then we had like American researchers, but it's not even translated, that's the funny part, like it's not translated into Spanish. So there is a lot of research back in the days, but in German, that I've been trying to translate, because they were really, if this was not that important, I don't think they would take the time and trouble to come over and research it. So there's definitely something there.
No, it's brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's great to talk to someone from that location.
No, thank you for your channel and for welcoming me here. And well, I really wish you all a lovely weekend, and I will let somebody else join then. Thank
Oh,
you.
right, thank you for coming on. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Okay, I send you a big hug. Bye-bye.
We've had some lovely people tonight, haven't we? Doesn't give me the option to. I don't know how to. Oh, she's gone. That was lovely. What a lovely person. I feel sorry for her. Yes, Kerry's right. What a lovely guest she was, wasn't she? Someone that I'd love to pick her brains on. You know, I'd probably want to do what Kerry done and wrote down some questions, but because obviously living in that country, you've got a lot of ancient stories and stuff that's passed down. It scrolled to the very bottom while that live was on, so I will now read nearer to the bottom. Christy Fur has wrote, "How old is your soul, man? I don't mean this lifetime either." So if you believe the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which is the oldest known record that I'm aware of that talks about these entities that join with us, literally it says it joins with man. If you believe that, then they're eternal and they came. Sorry, someone's pinned something. Don't write down questions. Alfredo will chastise you. Yeah. Um, sorry, that's because Kerry got told off by Alfredo for writing down questions. So yeah, they're eternal, and they formed when the universe formed. If you believe the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which I kind of do, because they're very old, very very old, and back then no one knew that there was even a universe, let alone different planets and all this kind of stuff. So I kind of believe in it, and I mean I have done on my Patreon page. I know, don't hate me, I'm advertising the Patreon page, but I have done a video on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth on the Patreon page. So I sort of go through some of it to explain to people what certain things mean. So it's if they are eternal, that would make sense because they're energy, and obviously energy apparently doesn't die; it just dissipates or change. Sorry, not dissipates; it changes into a different form. So yeah, basically they're eternal. Scrolling down, Ian has wrote. That's that lady that was just on. I believe I'm an old soul indeed. Nike Car has wrote. I believe I could. I believe JW could be right. I don't know if that's a person or whether it was supposed to be you're right and maybe spell check. Sorry. Scrolling down. This is live, by the way, everybody. Just reading out everyone's questions. Alfredo's wrote metals and crystals. Not sure whether it was me you're referring to on that one. Sorry. Oh, that was what was inside the. I think it's called Tough. The actual rock that was used for the Mawai is called Tough. However, as I say, there was some basalt stone there as well. History and Coins wrote quartz. Oh, brilliant! You guys have all caught on yet. And Jessica Dirt Digger also wrote quartz. Funny, isn't it? I mean, it seems to be the common denominator between all of these ancient buildings. If you look, Alfred wrote quartz is in quarter ounces. Quartz is in the crystal quartz. I don't know if that's where the quart came from in terms of ounces. I don't know if that'd be interesting if it was. Pumpkins wrote, which Earth Age? King Atlas? Which Earth Age? I don't know. You're going to hate me for this. I'm not sure what you mean. Which Earth Age? I'm near the bottom, so if you could sort of... I don't know what I was talking about for that question to be there. Sorry. I do rattle my brain trying to figure out what me or someone else had said, but Pumpkins wrote, we have two moons Ammon and Seti. I might have missed something because I'm not sure why you would be mentioning that. But yeah, we do have two moons. One's only tiny. Pumpkins wrote dialect magnetic force. I feel like I've missed something here, but yeah. Unless that's what you're referring to with how the Maui statues are moved. Pumpkins wrote, yes, quartz and copper and zinc to spark it. Yeah, I think that they used some sort of rod to help to touch the block, or if not rod, then rope of some, copper or some coil of some description. Because, sorry, Histories wrote, we were talking about Easter Island. Oh, right, okay, I thought so in the end. Got there in the end. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, because what's his name? Edward Lee Scullin was seen with some sort of rope, even though it probably wouldn't be rope, it might have been copper, wrapped around the blocks as he levitated them, supposedly. Alfreda's wrote, see mods now, that's how you do it. I'm guessing someone's gone. I don't know. Ridiculo, forgive me if I pronounce that wrong, has wrote, your thoughts about Jesus being half Anunnaki. I have actually done the video, I don't know if you've seen that, and that's what you're referring to. If you haven't seen my little documentary, that's Christ knows how long, on who Jesus' father was, which would obviously be if it was Anunnaki, then he would be half Anunnaki. So if you haven't seen it, it's actually on TikTok. It's on YouTube as well, but you can scroll back and look for the one that looks like it's to do with who Jesus' father was, or you can just go to my website, it might be easier, outruehistory.co.uk.
WhatsApp.
And
someone has sent you a WhatsApp.
Sorry about that. And type in Jesus at the top and scroll down and you'll find who Jesus' father was. Watch that because I go through, obviously, here I can't go through as much as I did on the video, which is why I do the whole thing. History and Coins, right, I'm off, I'll catch you next time. Thank you very much for all your help tonight, History and Coins. Thank you for joining in on the live and giving us your details on what happened to you. Thank you very much. So going back to Ridiculo, so basically, if you watch that, my conclusion is, yes, he is half Anunnaki. Pumpkins wrote, it's body double like the double rainbow bridge. I really feel like I've missed something there, sorry. I am the awakened ones wrote, I am still waiting for the arrival of our creators. Hashtag the Anunnaki. Then the show will begin. I really don't think they're going to come. I really don't think, I think they're here already. As Sitchin said, he doesn't think they've left. Now, what is interesting, again, I was listening to Sitchin just the other day. He seems to think that he is a descendant of Abraham. And if you listen to what he says, he actually makes it sound like the descendants of Abraham are running the planet. That's what he alluded to. Now, I know there's people out there that say he's a Mason. And if he was a Mason and other descendants of Abraham are running the planet, then that would explain why he said that he thinks the descendants of Abraham are running the planet. So maybe there is something to him being a Mason, but maybe he was allowed to talk about these things. However, there is a few times that people's asked him questions and he says, I can't answer that. And I think he knows the answer, but it was more to do with bloodlines, and that's when he says, I can't answer that. And I think there's more to it than, because he also said that he doesn't think some of the Anunnaki left, or they're still here, or they're still watching us. So I think he knows maybe a little bit more if he was a Mason. Pumpkins wrote, in today's time, the presidents and kings would be Anunnaki, but yes, there's a red velvet bloodline, which is what I was literally just talking about. Alfredo's wrote, Caesar, see, I told you, you make a huge difference to people around the world. Oh, it's just me. I don't do that. Don't say that because you'll make me have a god complex again. HG has wrote, if you tell a lie often enough, it becomes a truth. I'm guessing, HD, I'm just reading between the lines. I'm guessing you think that I'm saying lies that's based on evidence, whereas the other people that have no evidence, they're the ones that say the lie, really, truthfully. Pumpkins wrote, I've been waiting 32 years for everyone to wake up. I'm guessing you're 32 years old, or there was a period that suddenly you realised and then suddenly everyone... I know what everyone's thinking, well, how did he wait 32 years? It means he would have been... Yeah, I know, as a baby, but yeah. Roxy and Bentley has wrote, I think people are indoctrinated to stay within a box of thinking. It does seem like that. I mean, there's people out there that... institutions that are owned, dare I say the word owned, by families such as Rockefeller. So the American universities, not just American, but mainly America, and schooling has a curriculum that's apparently set up by the Rockefellers. Now, who would do that? Why would the Rockefellers, who basically made their money in oil, be interested in universities, schools, and such like? Now, if you listen to one of the interviews with one of the Rockefellers, where they literally explain their plan, then you realise why they want people to be dumbed down and just be workers. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's people out there that don't think outside the box and believe anything anyone tells them to. Scrolling down... Roxy and Bentley's wrote, I have been to Egypt. I find the energy to be quite strange. You're very lucky. I haven't been to Egypt. But yeah, I know someone that has. I know someone that actually, a friend of mine that got married in the Great Pyramid. Long story. But yeah, so... funny enough, that person didn't mention any energy feeling, but I guess they probably was too, thinking about the wedding day. So, Truth Seekers 2 has wrote, what is the best book version of the Emerald Tablets? Because there's a few different authors. You've probably heard me say I read everyone's version of everything. And that's because I don't, there is different translations to different things. So my advice is literally read all of them, and if there's more than one of anything that you're interested in, read them all, because I don't think people are lying when they do their translations. I think they just have their own way of translating things. I go back to the Epic of Gilgamesh, where Sitchin's version makes sense, whereas someone else's that I've read makes no sense whatsoever. So from that, I sort of lean more towards Sitchin's version simply because it made more sense. And so if you want to do that with your anything that you come across, I think you should read them all and not take one over the other unless it makes sense more than the others. Then obviously go with that, like I did with Sitchin's. I mean, really, just going back to that question, I would try and go from the Latin version. Apparently, the Latin was the first one translated, and probably, if you go with the first one, you've probably got more chance of it being slightly more accurate. Only because people down the line have that Chinese whispers type thing. That the counter argument to that would be, hey, the first people to translate that may not have been great translators, and therefore the second lot may have used a bit of the Latin and the original text to translate it. So it's kind of hard to say, but you just sort of go with what your gut comes out with, I guess, is the end answer to all of that. A main conspiracy wrote, sorry, I was I was cutting out. What a mess. Oh, I mean, we heard you fine. I think maybe you were struggling to hear me. So I apologise for that, if that was the case. Oh, I heard you fine. I don't know about other people. Queen Mary's wrote, yeah, he was Draco. He's a Draco reptilian. Allah is a grey. I'm not sure who we was talking about there, unless you was chatting individually to people. I don't know who he was a Draco reptilian. I don't know if you mean Sitchin. I wouldn't have said Allah was a grey, personally, because the Quran does have sections of what the Anunnaki talk about. So I don't think so. Oh, something interesting, guys. Something I worked out. You'll love this. So, King Solomon, I know you probably get bored, God, history time, but King Solomon, well, his dad, thank you, Leo, his dad was, King David, was told by God to create a temple to put I've mentioned this before, to put the Ark of the Covenant in. Long story short, the owner of the land, which was actually part of the spaceport, I'm boring you, but cut long story short, the point was this was 1,000 years ago. Now that means King David's lord, e.g., one of the Anunnaki, who told him where to build this thing and how to build this temple to house the Ark of the Covenant, because obviously, if you believe me or believe what I believe, it's a power device. So it was told specifically how to build it. Anyway, that was 1,000 years ago, which means where we say, oh, when did the Anunnaki last leave? We've got now a date, if you go by that at least 1,000 years ago he was still here, one of the Anunnaki, because only they would have known why to build the temple for the Ark of the Covenant. Because if you go along with the Cambodian, I think it's Cambodian theory that there's a Ark of the Covenant, there might be more one, but there's one supposedly in there, and the radiation keeps blinding the gatekeepers or the keepers of it. Every 5 to 6 years they get radiation blindness, so it makes sense that an Anunnaki would have told them. Anyway, cut long story short, the point is an Anunnaki was here up to at least 1,000 years ago. Marianne has wrote, I think we have all been lied to about everything. I think you're right. Queen Mary's wrote, we are aliens, malevolent ones are terraforming. It's an interesting concept with the terraforming side of it, with, the chemtrails. And if you watched someone's video on New York the other day, there was a van going around spraying everywhere with chemicals, saying it was pesticide. Literally just a warning saying we're spraying with pesticides. Now, you realise that area that he was in is a no-fly zone, which means they can't fly over with the chemtrails. So what other way would they be able to spray chemtrails? Go round and pretend it's pesticide? I mean, seriously, who goes round and sprays everywhere with pesticide when there's no pests? Seriously? I am the Awakened Ones. I feel that we know what's happening are lambasted as crazies, which can become mental torture. I hear you. Yeah. Luckily, most of the people I work with are on the same page with regards, the modern stuff, the alien stuff. They're interested, but not much. Queen Mary's wrote, alien invaders who made themselves gods. Well, technically, if their name is gods, which I've shown thousands of times, it's not them making up the word gods. They talk about themselves as gods. Same as I would say us humans, they talk about them gods. So I don't think they made up themselves as gods. I think their race name was gods. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the words gods. And in order for them to talk about gods, made themselves gods, what's the point of making themselves gods? The logic here is, what's the point of them making themselves gods if we know no different? If we didn't know anything about a god, what was the point of them saying that they were a god? If there's no other gods, what's the point of them saying there's a god? So really, they could have just said, "Hi, I'm Scooby-Doo," and we would have went, "Oh, hi, Scooby-Doo," instead of them saying, "Hi, we're gods," because we would have just went, "Hi, gods." We know no different. So there's no point in them giving themselves a name to try and convince us that they're gods if we never knew what a god was in the first place. So the logic would be that their race name is gods. There's no point in them making themselves gods, because to us it makes no difference. We wouldn't have known any different whatsoever. Kerry's wrote 7:30 boss, so I'm half hour behind and I've got 7% left on the battery, so I'll probably let the battery go as I'm now in my bedroom. Queen Mary's wrote, if you look up edict of Homed, I can't pronounce that, who was, it looks like Kardashian, Kardashian Enlil Set the First, many of the patriarchal writings. So you're saying Set the Thirst was Enlil. I would disagree with that. I really would disagree with that. Because as far as I'm aware, Enlil never went to Egypt. So I've never come across that. I'd like to see the evidence on that, if you wouldn't mind. Alfreda's wrote 3 billion liters of drained out by UFO. I'm guessing that was to do with one of the lakes, maybe Lake Titicaca that we was talking about. Queen Mary's wrote, like on the, that word again, Hormaheb edit, he talks about taking down all of her trees. It was Hattas. I can't. You know me, guys. I can't pronounce it. Something God's wife. Sorry. Oh right. Alfredo's wrote 3 billion liters drained out of Lake Titicaca. I wasn't aware of that, or not that I remember. I was aware of it. People chatting to each other. Alfreda's wrote blocks moved using sound. It does seem that way to me. Queen Mary's wrote, I can't speak for the Devil's Tower, but I was placed to be born in Trinidad. Look up Fisher's Peak. Okay. And then Fisher's Peak, carrying on, was home tree. You can see clear cut. The Co Plateau was a big tree forest. Interesting. Not looked at Trinidad really. I know Sri Lanka's got some amazing history, but I've not looked at Trinidad. I am the Awakened Ones wrote strange build up around the world for today, 23rd of September, and yet we'll wait. Was it today? Was that the... Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And now they're saying the 4th of October is going to be another one where they set the frequencies off. So we'll see what happens there. That's why I say don't worry about the dates. Just worry about what they're doing, because I think people add dates. Dee has wrote, hello lovely, love your lives. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much, Dee. We love you being here. Scrolling down. Alfreda's wrote, sir, did I just hear you say there was a mud flood? No, you didn't. No. Floods, yeah, and that would cover, obviously, when you've got a deluge, and you've got a tunnel, and that mud, sand, and water goes in there at a tremendous rate, then chances are that tunnel will be filled up. In fact, I did a video just the other day on TikTok talking about a place near the ocean that was the mainstream said, listen to this, mainstream said that the building was filled in using sediment. That was their words. When you look at what sediment is, basically it's deposits of the bottom of the ocean. So they're saying, this is how stupid they were, they're saying that someone went with buckets all the way to the ocean, come back, filled up with sediment this building from the inside, filled it up. It's stupid. Clearly it was a a deluge that caused that. Thank you, Donna. Hi, Donna. Hope you're well, Donna. Thank you for the rose. My battery's on 4%, so I will be shooting off soon. But as I promised everyone I'd be here today, I am. Kerry's wrote, what a lovely guess that was, that other person. You're correct. Queen Mary's wrote, so many mud floods. Look up the coffin text on Wikipedia. Even Ra Abra credit for the inundations. Yeah, I mean, there were floods which would have caused mudslides, but I still don't agree that there was the Tatarian mud flood. I am the Awakened Ones wrote, there's still many tunnels, particularly in Ukraine, used for child... yeah, I don't even want to say the word, it kills me. Kills me. What a disgusting race we are. Yeah. Marianne's wrote, very nice lady, yeah, she was. Almond Conspirators wrote, great guess, she was, wasn't she? That was the lady that, Enin, that was from Bolivia. Kerry's wrote, don't write down questions, haven't you read that one? I'm on 3% battery, so it will die just before I go. If anyone's interested, I do have a website that's got all the videos if you don't want to watch them on TikTok. They're in sets of 5 and 50 on the website, outruehistory.co.uk. And I also have a Patreon page, and I also have the same videos now on Patreon that are now on TikTok. They're in 2 series. You have to click on my profile picture and then click the series button. And so the videos that are on Patreon are now on... It's a one-off payment on TikTok, but you don't get every week. So in other words, what you get now is what you get, and then there'll be series 3 whereas Patreon will get them all every week. You guys will have to wait until I release them again on season 3. So technically Patreon's better. But it's up to you if you just want to, a quick binge watch of like 7 hours on one and 11 hours on the other. Truth Seekers 2's wrote, what's the best vision of I read that one. I think that may have been pinned. Marian's wrote, do you think the Egyptian gods with different heads were the angels Nephilim breed with animals? No, the Anunnaki mentioned that they had helmets that they used, and in fact, Ninurta got given a eagle type head and some wings when he did his good deed by beating Anzu. So they use they had originally those helmets, I think, were for the ocean when they did on their planet, because they wore what they called fish suits in space. So I think those helmets are just helmets. Really, images of helmets. Scrolling down, I'm on 2%, so it will die any minute now. Trevor's wrote, yes, I would like to know which book on the Green Emerald tablets would be the best buy. I read that one out. Hopefully, you just basically read everything you can on it. Alfreda's wrote, I hear Clark on the charge. Yeah, he's in the background. 2% still rare. Panache just wrote, do you think it's 2 entities, An and Aki? Wouldn't Enki and Enlil, etc., be able to live forever? No, they died. They lived for... I mean, Sitchin says that they lived for 140 years on their planet. I said about 100 years on their planet. So here they would have lived for about 1 million years of our time. But they're not eternal at all. So no, it's one. They were basically half brothers. We've got literally the tablets that say they're half brothers and they have a half sister. So there was only one Enki, stroke Ea, same name, Enlil, and then their sister Ninharsag or Nimna originally. Genex wrote, the Pope has joined forces with Muslim religion called Abrahamic family. Could that be related? I don't know. I haven't gave that much thought. I've not even heard that yet. So that's interesting, because what I was talking about with Zachariah Sitchin, saying that his Abrahamic ancestry. So it's interesting. I see where you're going with that. Tell you what, go number 3 in the class. That's good. Panashas wrote, also, how did people learn to translate the tablets? How do we know if it says what it really says? So there was long story short, basically Dead Sea Scrolls. They had different versions of the same texts, and people could read the second version but couldn't read Sumerian, and then when they realised that the third version was the same as the second version, then they started to read the first version, and then when they found a dictionary, everything made sense. So basically, bottom line is there's a dictionary that once you know what the dictionary is. However, some words do mean 6 different things, so that's why there is some discrepancies sometimes between what people say. Or translate. I'm on 1%, so it will cut off, so forgive me, I'm trying to get through everything. I'm just going to tell you what, I'm just going to plug it in ever so quickly, because you guys are nice. I hope it don't cut off now. Oh, hang on, let me go into the front room. Quick. Oh, I've got a heart for doing that. Oh. It goes funny when I